go.
Yeah, we're playing.
Brings it up. Turn the Wi-Fi off.
Is it on your phone yet?
Oh, I don't know. Hang on.
All right, we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome tonight to the Brovember Genetics Catalog Review. We're glad you're here. We'll warm up here just a little bit with a little bit of house talk and give people time to tune in. Andy Roller from Top Livestock. You can share this from the Top Livestock Facebook page. We are recording as of now. So we'll have a recording of this that we can put up onto YouTube for later viewing if you want to go back and review anything. Great offering here brought to you tonight in the Brovember, around 56 or so awesome lots. Looking forward to reviewing them. Some first timers in here, which is always exciting. Typical time sale for us. It'll go into extended bidding at 7 p.m. on Saturday the 29th. It goes live at 7 p.m. on Black Friday. I believe my dates are correct, the 28th. And at the end, if we get a bid on any lot, it'll extend all lots 5 minutes. Typical extended bidding, just like before. Again, if you're a lucky winner, you win a lot, you'll get an auto invoice emailed to you after the sale. Miss Page will take care of everything there, just like a normal live sale. And then once everything's settled, she'll send a release to the lot owner, consignor, and the lot buyer, letting them know it's okay to release those genetics. So, got a big catalog. Sorry for the delay. I had a little technical difficulty and trying to get everything in order and working. Took me just a bit. So with that out of the way, bring to you your catalog reviewers tonight. You got Mr. Kendall Barnes there on the left from Chayview Kikos. Been in the industry quite some time. Mr. Cooper Sherrill from Cowboy Kikos out in Oklahoma. Been in Kikos for a long, long time. And you got chicken there? Is that?
Nah, he just went out.
Oh, okay. Well, he might come back for a appearance. So, yeah, he's Cowboy Kikos out in Oklahoma. Does a great job reading catalogs. Has a lot of input. And Mr. Curtis Brazil there on the right from Split Hoof Ranch. Curtis also in Oklahoma, doing a great job with Kikos. Been in a long, long time. Look forward to what all three have to say. Before we get started, your ads around the overlay are your sponsors for tonight's sale. They helped get this on and get it going. You got Square One Kikos, Michael and Jess Bruss. You got S&S Kikos, Wayne and Lisa Sims. You got the Thornton family, Box T Farms, and Ryan Womack. And then in the bottom corner there, you got the Crafty Goat, again, Michael and Jess Brust. If you need anything marketing related for T-shirts, banners, whatever, they'll help you out. And next, Jesse Farm, Kenneth and Connie Jesse over in Virginia. And then the Goat Rancher, Mr. Terry Hankins, GoatRancher.com, and McTavish Farmstead, the Thompson family. So they helped put this together and get it going. So thank you, guys. So we'll start out with Lot 1. Lot 1 is a Copyright Tough, 2 straws, stored at Triple W Genetics here in Tennessee. Been doing a little bit of business with them, and they're making it pretty easy. So those straws are stored at Triple W, consigned by Mount Top Farm, Colton Pritchard. I'll let the catalog reviewer start out, but this one is a old favorite, proven. So look forward to seeing this one sell. If you guys have anything you want to say, we can take it in order. Kendall, Cooper, and Curtis. If you want to pass, just say pass, and we'll go right on to the next person in order. So, Kendall, you got anything about Tough? PJM copyright Tough?
He was tested in Maryland in what year was he born? 13. So he's one of those rare Maryland tested bucks. Got your Blue Sun and Lightning genetics pretty tight in it. That stuff works well for me. I'm sure the rest of them has had a little bit to do. Had a little bit of Tough in their herd too. He's pretty well known buck. Seems to cross well with a lot of different bloodlines.
I do have a copyright Tough doe in production. So, yeah. Cooper?
Super popular. Like Kendall said, he and quite a few progeny have been really well tested. I saw Tough at Colton's place and saw just a whole string of Tough daughters, and man, they were like cookie cutters. Something that consistency that he seems to throw out there is pretty impressive. So I think it's a good chance for somebody.
Curtis?
I agree with what Kendall and Cooper said. Performance tested, all the way through that pedigree there. You got the growth along with parasite resistance, being Blue Sun, Hammer, and probably, one of the most proven bucks out there. So here's your chance to get it. I would suspect that stuff's probably going to get harder and harder to get. That buck's, a buck that's not here anymore. So here's your chance.
Yep. Wes did a lot with him in his herd, so yeah, I'd say they are getting a little bit slimmer. So going on to lot 2, we have Mr. Ryback, CBK Ryback. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a dual monitor here, guys.
Yeah, he was born here at the farm. This is one way to get real close to the original June. There's only I think there's only 3 sons collected out of her, and 2 of them were flushmate brothers out of Keithland. And then you got Lynn 8, which is, he's been popular bloodline for a while, and he's double red keeper, and you got some color to boot with that line. Ryback was kind of the bucket changed my way of looking at meat goats, Kikos anyway. He's built real square, legs out in the corner and deep and thick across the back, and stayed wide in the back end like he was in the front end. Not like your typical old world Kikos. The first ones we brought in, they was real wide in the front and kind of narrowed off in the back end. So he kind of changed the game for us, and the maternal side of this is the best I've ever had. So he's high on my. I mean, I've got plenty of this semen myself, but I don't plan on selling much of it. Plan on keeping it so I can bring June back to the surface if I need it.
Cooper?
This is a buck that I've sure tried to get Kendall to sell me some straws on unsuccessfully. When you look at the pedigree, I really like it. Especially you got the double bred, or I guess line bred keeper on top. When you go through Lynn 8, you got June over reliable there. There's keeper on her top side too. Like Kendall said, there's just 3 bucks that's got semen collected on them that are out of June, and they're not super easy to get a hold of. I think you remember in the cream of the crop sale, had that Lynn 8 son that sold for so much money. This is a good chance to get in on. It's always been popular, but that little deal right there might just bring bring back some of that Lin8 popularity. And then again, June on the bottom. I don't know how you get much better than that. Nice buck for sure.
Curtis.
Kind of same thing when you touch on June. That's going to get you as close as you can get to June, with the exception of 2 other bucks. I think we're full brothers, the keeper 116, 117. So you're still going back keeper over June there. But also Lin8, I think, if I remember correctly, Jared Dennison done pretty well on some buck testing. When you look at back in the history genetics, there's some Lin8 in there also. And I said that I think that buck was almost $9,000 this year at the cream of the crop. So it's a chance to get to June. It's a big thing for me. So
Yeah, Ryback
This will be
also
your chance.
produced. He produced the number 2 buck in West Virginia in 2017. So
Yeah.
it's a tested line,
Didn't you have
strong.
quite a few Ryback daughters that have produced good buck test bucks?
Yep, I've had a few. I don't have very many left. I'm going to have to bring it back out. I think I've got 4 or 5 daughters out there.
Failed to mention this is consigned by USA Kikos, Yeti Payne. These are located in Bonanza, and like you guys said, Lin8 buck over June. I did collect it early on because I had a Ryback doe and I liked it really well. So a great opportunity here to bring some stuff back in. Next lot is lot 3. Lot 3 is SNS Kikos. It is SSK Warhorse. Excuse me. This is located in Bonanza. Heavy muscled buck. I'll show the picture here in just a minute. Wayne says produced very good kids for me before I lost him to an accident at a young age. Cherokee Fiddler over Iron Horse, 2 straws, Bonanza. Here we go. Kendall.
No, I've never had any Warhorse offspring, but I do like the way the pedigree's stacked. I'm a big fan of Fiddler, and that everything I've seen out of that Skybird salsa doe's just been meaty as heck. So,
Yep.
It's kind of one of those bucks that you could bring some well-known sires and dams into your herd, and he looks like he's got the meat goat part down. Got pretty solid, deep bodied buck.
Cooper.
Yeah, I think Warhorse is a really good buck for Wayne and Lisa. I've got a daughter and 1 or 2 granddaughters of his that I've really liked, and they really have a really nice maternal build, yet they still look like a meat goat. Really nice animals they've been for me. You got the Tasman Toya on the bottom side when you look at the Skybird Salsa P6 doe. Loverboy top and bottom, and Fiddler being his daddy is sure a big thing for me. I think Fiddler's really been overlooked lately. Maybe not lately. Maybe it's probably starting to come back. But I think when Fiddler was alive, I think he kind of lived under the Iron Horse shadow that I don't think he deserved to be in. I think he should have been the one cast in the shadow. So
I agree.
Curtis.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just the same thing. When you look at Fiddler, when I went to David Linda's house, however many years ago it's been, I thought Fiddler was the nicest buck on the place. I just liked the way he was built, put together. And then you look at that doe, the D12. Wayne just lost that doe here recently, and I think if I remember, she raised 21, 22, 23 kids. It's a lot of kids. Never lost a kid, so the maternal line's pretty strong right there. To have that many kids, so she's 11, 12 years old. I think it'd be hard to beat that, though, and I guarantee that's what Wayne would tell you. So It'd be another good one to get. I know he spoke highly of the buck, just lost him at an early age to a freak accident. So another one of those that I think you probably aren't going to get the opportunity to buy this semen very often. So this may be your best chance.
It's yeah, just metering in here. Fiddler over Iron Horse. I think that's definitely a good mix. Skybird Salsa P6 jumps out to me, and I may chase it myself because I don't think it's been out there and used, and I think a great opportunity here to improve some stuff in your herd. So going to lot 4. Lot 4 is by Stony Creek Kikos. This is 2 straws of Web Ginger Generator Ginger 1903. They're stored at Bonanza. Of course, Generator is one of the original imports. Let me get to the right lot on the live screen. I'm reading off my screen. Just bump me there. So he's one of the originals. Generator is, of course, and then you got Web Ginger, who's been talked about a lot. Produced a great flush there with this buck and some others that have been influential in a lot of the herds. Web Ginger was sired by Shogun, which brings some thickness and width to the herds. So, Cooper, what do you got about Generator Ginger?
I think
I
Bill's
he's a
calling him
buck.
G2
Do what?
now. I think Bill's calling him G2 now.
Oh,
That's what
G2
he's
now?
been calling him at home. G2. Yeah, that's what he calls him. I think he did
I'm gonna-
really well
I'm
this
gonna
year
pick
with him on test.
Yeah, I'm going to pick on Bill and say that he could have found a better picture from him because when I've seen him in person, that picture right there doesn't do him justice. When you look at that buck from the side, he looks awesome. And like Kendall said, he did good. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think one of his top 10 bucks at the West Virginia test was a son of his,
Yep.
if I remember right.
Close to
One of
that.
the
Out of that.
well placers were. Generator over Ginger. The Generator part speaks for himself. The Ginger doe was huge for John Weber's farm. The Ginger's Shogun over Hammer. It doesn't get much more tested than that right there as far as buck tests go. There it is in the description. Number 4 overall West Virginia buck. Had the number 2 ADG this year. I think this is a nice buck that Bill is giving us the opportunity to bid on these straws. So don't miss it.
Curtis, you got a little first hand with him.
Same thing, Generator, I think, is all that maternal power that people look for in those older lines. And then, everything Weber crossed Ginger on turned out to be superstars. I mean, what hasn't, so. Like I said, I think what Cooper just said, number 4 buck this year, number 2 ADG. So in his first year being tested with Bill anyway, he's done real well. So be another chance to get performance tested genetics and get back to some original stuff with Generator. So
Definitely agree with that.
and I think you said they are stored at Bonanza.
Yes, they are stored at Bonanza. All right. Going on to lot 5. Get the browser over there. Lot 5 is 1 straw of Mr. Iron Horse. That's consigned by Mill Creek Ranch. It is stored at Bonanza. Again, this is 1 straw of Iron Horse. Don't have to say a lot about him if you're new in it. You just saw a buck that Wayne Sims had out of an Iron Horse doe, D12. Definitely he's in a lot of herds and adds a lot of muscling and some body to the herd. Kendall?
He's one of those legendary herd sires that, he's been around. I mean, he's around for a long time. And And of course, he's dead now, but his genetics still demand very high prices sometimes, and they're still well sought after. So it's kind of one of those. If you got the right doe to put him over, I believe he'll bring some attention to you anyway.
Cooper?
Yeah, it's especially in my part of the world. It's hard to look at a pedigree that doesn't have Iron Horse in it. Extremely popular. Um, he can help you put some size on your does if that's what you're wanting. Um, he dang sure is known for throwing a lot of color. I've got great grandkids of Iron Horse that still that blaze on his face. It kind of goes from one side to the other. Man, that sticks with him. It's crazy. There's a little buck outside the window here. I got here at the house that I had to look it up the other day. He had that blaze. I was like, how far back is Iron Horse there? And his Iron Horse is on the very last line of that, but that blaze still goes on. Dave and Linda really did a heck of a job getting this buck out there, and it's hard not to find one that's got Iron Horse in it. It's a good opportunity, whether you're going to use it or whether you're going to camp on it for a while.
Curtis?
I mean, I think same thing with Cooper. You want size, there's no doubt. That's the buck that'll dang sure give you some size and usually some color with it. And I would think it's another straw that's probably getting rare. You're not going to get a whole lot of them in these coming years. And I know here in Oklahoma, you couldn't look like Cooper. You couldn't look anywhere and not find this stuff 6, 7 years ago. It was everywhere you looked, but he's impacted a lot of herds all over the country, and somebody gets this straw and wants to use it, they can impact it now. Just as recent as a few years ago, some of those dollars were bringing $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 at the sales. So might be one of your last few chances to get another straw that they've got to be getting thin. There can't be many of them left. So
I think that's why they're selling one at a time now. So they're getting thin.
exactly. Yeah.
Yep. So, yep, a good opportunity here for you. Like Kendall said, or I don't remember who it was, but if you're going to use it right away or store it, I don't think you can go wrong. So going on to the next lot. This is SSK Blues Iron Man, consigned by Sterling V Ranch. These two straws are located in Bonanza, Flying Cow, or SEK. So you have three options here on this. The Vandehees did a great job writing it up. It's two straws, one money. We'll talk a little bit about the overall, but if you go here to the pedigree, just you see Iron Horse again. There you go. We just talked about that lot before that. Here in lot 6, we have that in the pedigree, and then of course Blue Sun on top. Kendall.
I think this is another one of Wayne Sims' really good foundation does. That lily on the very bottoms, that's two-timing lover boy daughter. It's kind of hard to find stuff. And then you got Blue Sun on top of all that. I mean, the buck looks like he's got the bone and the muscle into him. I'm pretty sure Wayne and maybe Bill Stony Creek has, or Francis, I call it Bill Stony Creek, have flush mates to him. So that genetic cross is working fairly well across 3 different farms. So that says something for it.
Yes, sir. Cooper.
Like Kendall said, he's a flush mate to Wayne and Lisa's AC Blue Eagle buck and Bill's Street Smart buck. I've got a daughter of this Blues Iron Man at home, and she is very quickly making her way to my best doe. This Blue Sun over D18 cross was a big winner in my mind. The Sky Lily doe, I saw her late in her life at JD's farm, and you want to talk about a doe that is just perfectly put together. And then she carries the great maternal traits along with it. I'm a really big fan of this buck and his flush mates. You guys hear me talk at any of the sales, you'll hear me talk about consistency and how I think that that is extremely important, but it's also not that easy to find in the Kikos. When you look at the consistency of the progeny that this buck throws, but also look at what his flush mates are doing. That's the key right there, is getting that consistency down. It's if you got a target in mind, it's hard to hit it. If you want to get dead on, let's shoot it with a rifle and not a shotgun. I think this buck can be your rifle.
Well put. Curtis?
Agree with him. I hadn't seen him in person, but I've seen his brothers. Both of them really nice bucks, just like I believe this buck is. Back in the last Oklahoma buck test, Amy, I believe, took 2 sons out of this buck to that buck test. And at the drop-off day, I looked at them pretty good. Then I talked to her later during the test or after pickup. And I thought they was maybe the 2 best-looking buck kids in the whole pen. And even asked her about buying them, and this isn't going to sound good, but if they would have been New Zealand, I probably would have bought one. But they were purebreds, which just didn't work in my program. But they were dang sure the part. Shame that test had to end early, so don't know where they would have finished up at, but they were sure put together right. Kind of back to that mold that Cooper was just talking about, consistency. He sure seemed to put that into his kids. So if you're looking at and look, I mean, plenty of bone in the structure of that animal from looking at that picture. So I think he could bring something to the table. So
For sure. And that's
3 different options to get them. So she's trying to make it as easy as she can on you.
Yeah. And I was reading her comments here, and the D12, she listed that has 20 registered offspring, 11 of those being bucks. So definitely producing something there. And with Wayne holding on to that D18 and producing that much, it definitely works.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to lot 7. Yes, lot 7. Lot 7 is embryos, consigned by Split Hoof Ranch, stored at Bonanza. Is this right? I've been trying to keep up with everything, Curtis. This is Hobo over Big Boy's Last Dance?
Yeah, Hobo over Big Boy's Last Dance.
Thank you, sir. I just want to make sure I know one of them we had got entered wrong. I want to make sure I got that right. So this is one straw with 2 embryos stored at Bonanza. Again, it's Hobo, Pango Hugh Son, over the last living doe, Big Boy's Last Dance, which I got to have a chance to see and get some stuff out of. So great chance here. Kendall?
Ain't much you can beat on this. I mean, I don't know who wouldn't want this in their herd. Hobo, it's hard to get. It's been dead for a little while, and then Gold Mine Heritage was never collected, so this is really rare, hard to obtain genetics on the bottom side for sure. And that doe, if I remember right, she sold for pretty decent money at a very older. She was what, 8 years old when she sold the last.
Sold it to AKI, yeah.
What, brought what, 3,000 or something?
Yeah, 3,500 or something like
Somewhere north of 3,000. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that's a stack. That's stacked genetics all the way back. I mean, all the way to. That's old genetics. There's a lot of it there.
Cooper?
Like Kendall said, it's old genetics. They're really difficult to get a hold of, especially on the Gold Mines Heritage end of things. To get it that close, not easy to do. 2 embryos. You get those kids on the ground out of this, you never know what it can do for your herd. could be a really big thing. And Curtis has in there that whoever wins it could buy a second straw of them for the same price. So you got the opportunity to end up with 4 embryos. Hobo's a Pango son. With the Pango, you also got Tasmatoya in there. You got ECR Gloria, which is another big name as far as mamas go. Heck of an opportunity here at some old genetics. Don't miss out.
Curtis?
Well, I was going to actually put some of these embryos in this year, so love to tell you what they would be, but I haven't had that opportunity yet. My repro guy didn't come through on the schedule, so I thought I'd go ahead and make some of these available. But what interested me on this, of course, Hobo, everybody knows about Hobo, but that Big Boy's Last Dance, though, is also a half sister to Boaz. And when she came up for sale in that, I think the AKI sale 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was, we was really interested in buying her just because of that, but she got out of our price range. And anyway, I started looking afterward, and John offered me these embryos, so I took him up on those. And, it's kind of how I come across those. But that doe also, I think, just produced a top buck up here at the, at that CKC sale here a few weeks back. I may be wrong, but I think that's who he was out of. But
You're correct.
I can tell you, I'm going to try to use these in the future, but I also wanted to make a good offer. And then I think, that bottom, that pedigree, like Cooper said, you're not going to get to it very easily. Kendall said the same thing. Gold Mine's heritage is, wasn't collected. So here's your chance to get close to him. And I said, also, you do have that opportunity to buy the second straw if you want to do so after the sale's over with. So they are stored at Bonanza. Or if someone wanted to later in the year and just needed me to bring them, I'd offer to bring them in my tank, to one of the sales that I come to.
Sounds good. Yeah, I had the chance to have Big Boy's Last Dance here. I've got does out of her that I've retained. Pango Hue on top side, definitely like that as well. I think it'll definitely work in a program and do well. Look forward to seeing somebody chasing this opportunity. All right, lot 8. Lot 8 is from JD Ranch. It is 2 straws of JDR Romeo C32. These are stored at Bonanza as well. This buck was a top 10 Maryland buck in 2013. He's out of Romeo, who's hired multiple top bucks in performance testing. You got the KMG Asher down there, who is a Rotan 150 over a Nick Daughter. Jared's program's known for doing very well in performance testing. Great opportunity here if you need to improve some performance on your herd. Kendall?
Got to see this buck in person, and his sire, and his dam, grandsire, and all. I've seen pretty much the majority of this buck's pedigree, and I got a daughter of his in the herd that kidded for the first time this year, and out of Chinook, and I kept her daughter back. This buck's, he's pretty impressive. When I saw him, and he wasn't a young buck when Jared sold him, and I then bought him back later, and then used him and collected him, and he's got the bone, and he's pretty deep, thick. It's got a lot of money maker genetics in the bottom side and top side, but that Romeo and this C32 buck, they're built pretty similar, I thought, and threw great. I think they threw better does than they did bucks, but when you got a buck out of them, they're something special too. So Jared's built his herd around Romeo, and that's the reason why he bought this buck back, because it's hard to get them Maryland bucks. Last Maryland test was 2016, so not many. I don't think there's any of them alive anymore.
Okay, Cooper.
I don't know a lot about this buck, but I will just echo what Kendall was talking about on the Romeo side of things. Extremely well tested in terms of his daughters. I think his daughters produced a lot of really good bucks. The Romeo daughters produced a lot of good bucks in the buck tests over the years. And like you said, Andy, Jared's really built his herd around this Romeo deal. So to get that close up in your potential kids out of this is pretty special. I think that with these straws, you would really just be a maternal jackpot right there. Cross your fingers for doe kids is what I would do.
Curtis.
Oh, that's the same thing. I'm not real familiar with him. I've heard Kendall talking about it quite a bit through the years, but looking at the pedigree, your heavy money maker on the bottom, who doesn't want money maker? And then on the top, you look back at Lynn A again that we talked about earlier, and I'd said Jared had kind of built his herd through that. So he's got that there on top, which is some more Goliath back in there, Keeper, Lynn A, all of those things right there. But when you look at the performance side of it, it'd be hard to beat him. Something if someone's looking to add some performance tested genetics, very well tested.
Okay. Lot 9. Lot 9 is Sand Black Cadillac. This is signed by Patmos Island Kikos. These two straws are stored in Bonanza and one money, like all the other two straws. One money, if it's one straw, it's one times the money. So I want to make sure I got that in there. I got to see this buck. Went to Johnny and Judy Smitty's for a little bit, I think, and the Sonny Boy. Sonny Boy's, I think, most known for Outlaw, which did really well in the Oklahoma test. And bottom side, you got Gal Sabrina, which is a Sky's Blues copyright daughter over Zazarak Doe WMB Emily. Two straws stored at Bonanza. Kendall?
Yeah, Sonny Boy. He's also the sire of Outlaw and Thriller. You know they've been tested pretty hot and heavy, especially out in Oklahoma. I mean, bottom side you got copyright, and then he was tested. And then you got CCR Sazerac back there ways, and there wasn't very many New Zealand goats registered out of him because back when he was alive, Warren and Liz Barnes, they had a lot of purebred and commercial does, and not as many New Zealand. So kind of rare on the bottom side. Of course, it's getting kind of far back in the pedigree, but it's pretty stacked genetics, in my opinion, on this book.
Cooper?
Yeah, when I look at this pedigree, I see a buck that is gonna likely throw really highly parasite resistant kids, but also be really good mamas, and that's what we're trying to raise. So another thing, when you look at that first picture of him, he looks like a buck that is really well fleshed out, but he's not fat, which I appreciate. So fleshing ability. You guys hear me talk up in the sales box all the time about fleshing ability and how I think that's important. I don't know the whole story here, but just looking at the picture, that's not knowing what I know about goats. When we look at that picture there, he doesn't look like that in that picture because he's just been sitting with his head in his bucket. So there's my 2 cents.
All right. Curtis?
If I remember right, he's also full brother to Day Money that James did pretty well with the Oklahoma buck test. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's who that was. I remember he's number 3 or 4 parasite resistance there, but I'd be the kind of same way. I would think he's going to throw those that are really strong maternals, parasites, good feet, good udders, which is what a Kiko's supposed to be. You see, some of the bottom pedigree might throw you some growth too with some moneymaker back in there, the Sazerac buck. So, I would expect toughness and parasite resistance out of them for sure.
Yep, definitely. I'll bring in here just a little bit. I had Sonny Boy early on, 1622. He was a son, and Cooper's hit it, nailed it. And when he said it, I was like, "Yep, that's what I got." It was great maternals and just great in the pasture. I think if you mix this buck up with some stuff in your herd, you definitely get some improvement there on mothering abilities and just be able to take care of itself in the pasture. And I just wanted to show that I was real and not just in some chat GPT. So we're going on to lot 10. Let me get my other screen over here correct. 1 second. Okay, this is Weber Farms consignment. It's 2 straws of CLP Raging Rivers Pompeii. Pompeii is a sting son over Sesame. I've seen that done. It's a really well sought after cross. I know John, talking to him, he really liked this buck. I think he met an early demise and didn't get a lot of offspring out of him. So here's your chance to do that. These are stored at Bonanza. 2 straws by Weber Farm. Kendall?
I went and picked this buck up for Weber at Lee Patrick's. He's a buck. He was a stout buck. He could pick me up. He's long body. If you like tall goats, he's a real tall, long goat, and had bone, and he's just a typical old world Kiko. Kind of got real close to the original genetics with him, and you could tell it. He was just a massive, long, tall, head, big chest and neck on him.
Cooper?
Weber had pretty good luck at Louis.
And like Kendall said, old genetics. You got Sting over Sesame. It doesn't get much older than that. You keep looking down there on the maternal granddam side, you also get Sports Cat. I talked to Weber about this buck, and I know that he only had him for a short time because he thought he could whip a bull, and the bull whipped him. If I got the buck right.
Yep.
But really nice kids that he was giving Weber, especially like Kendall said, he's a little more old school style, a little taller, a little longer. And I know that John was wanting to kind of upsize his goats a little bit, which is why he bought this buck. And he was really, really liking the results out of him before he thought he could fight the bull.
All right. Curtis?
I don't think there's much else I can say. I mean, what they've said is what I've heard from talking to Weber. No, I never saw him either, but I have heard the bullfight story. So I believe that to be true. And it's supposed to be a real big buck. About all I really know about it.
Okay. Moving on to lot 11. Lot 11 is 2 straws of HKF Big Boy's Pride consigned by Hancock Kiko Farm. These 2 straws are stored in Bonanza. He is a Gold Mine Heritage son, which we just heard he wasn't a collected buck. So here's your chance to get semen out of a son of Gold Mine's Heritage. And on the bottom side, you have Questator and Seven Trees Constance. So I've not got a lot of familiarity with him, so I'm going to let you guys do the work.
I've got a little bit of a semen in the tank. Plan on using it soon. Like what what draws me to him is, he's a son of Heritage, and Heritage wasn't collected. And then his dam is the dam of Tasman Toya, and we all know how famous she was and what she's known for producing. And I kind of thought maybe she got her maternals from her mother, so I'm going after that. That's the reason why I'm going after it and hoping I can get some of what Hancock was building on back in the day. And I just think it's a strong maternal line. Is my thinking. I don't know yet because I haven't used it.
All right, Cooper.
I'll just echo what Kendall said is that when you look at this, all I can think of is maternals, maternals, maternals. So everybody, I don't care how good your goat herd is, everybody could use more maternals.
Thank you. Curtis.
Talked to John about this book several times. I talked to him just last night about it, and he was talking to me about Big Bush Pride was almost 12 years old when he was killed just in a freak accident, hung up in some vines or something of that nature. But was a big impact on their herd, producing that BC 64, which is their original Nelly, and 46, which is some more, goes back to Tasman Toy, like Kendall was saying, which, also grandma to Pango. So you're looking at Pangos in that pet, or could be in that pedigree there too. So just really a good buck. I've had some in the tank for a while. Keep saying I'm going to use it and keep finding a way not to, but I'm fixing to be using it here in this next year. So because I want to go back to Gold Mines Heritage myself. I've had some stuff that goes back to that line that's been good to me, and Big Bush Pride I think is one way to get back to it. So here's your chance to get some.
Yep. All right, going on to lot 12. Lot 12 is consigned by Raging River Kiko Farm. This is one straw stored at Multi-Chin. It's one straw of BBM Generator's Big Bear, who is a generator son, one of the originals, and then a Nick daughter, BBM Nikki. I can't add a lot here, Kendall.
This come from Bill and Brenda Moore. This buck did, and then went to Dick and Sally Rutherford for a while, and then he got to live out the end of his life at Lee's. I believe this was the first flush with generator that happened. I mean, I know a lot of people's used it now, but back when Dr. Ann had all the semen, she just sold. This was the first straw she had sold. Might have been Terry and Bill and Brenda Moore involved. I think Sports Cat busted through and bred a bunch of their donors, and they got very limited kids out of the generator straw, and this was one of them. He's built in the picture. He looks like he's an old buck in that picture, and he's still carrying a lot of mass. I've not had a lot of the big bear stuff, but I've had a lot of generator in my herd. So if he follows suit with that, I think you'll be all right.
Cooper?
Yeah, you got Generator over Nick over Loverboy. That's three of the biggest names in the industry. And like Kendall said, he looks like an aged buck in the picture, but man, he sure still looks good. Big old chest on him. Looks to be really deep bodied. Good looking buck. I don't see anything wrong with him whatsoever. Old genetics, really close here. So
Definitely. Curtis?
Well, to me, it's the same old. It's what's worked time and time again, and it's generator over moneymaker genetics. You see it in every pedigree. That stuff works. So here's your chance to get some, put it to work for you. Nice built buck.
Moving on to lot 13. Lot 13 is consigned by Sinway Farms. these two straws are located at Triple W Genetics. And again, here we're looking at the reverse of Sting over Sesame. This is a Sesame over a Sting daughter. And we see that BBM Generators Big Bear in the bottom of this that we just talked about. So you've got a picture there in the lot before this of kind of what he was and what he can do. Long Tall Sally did quite a bit. She was pretty influential, though.
I've never seen a picture of this buck, so don't really have much to go on besides the pedigree. I know that Long Tall Sally doe, Lee Patrick owned her, and Gary Richardson wrote a pretty hefty check for her. So, I don't know, just pedigree wise, it's like, I'm pretty sure it's kind of the opposite cross of what Pompeii was. Just back, just swap the Sting and Sesame, but should be pretty similar, I would think, to what you would get out of Pompeii. Probably long and a little bit taller. Probably good milk production in there. But like I said, I've never seen a picture of this buck, so I don't really know what he looks like.
I haven't either. Cooper?
I have nothing educated to add.
Okay. That's acceptable. Curtis?
Kind of same way. I wouldn't know much about it. I know the name Sesame and Sting along there, and like you said, if the Generators Big Bear gives you indication, there's some size and bone and good structure coming up through the bottom of that pedigree. So it's going to take you back to the old school genetics if that's what you're looking for in something rare. I think there's your chance.
All right, lot 14. Lot 14 is consigned by Goat Acres Ranch. This is 15 straws. Listen up a moment. This is 15 straw lot, one money of RDH Indians Outlaw Rusty. Of course, he was a son of Outlaw, Indian Outlaw, RDH, Indian Outlaw, Bill, Sherry Reese, out of Outlaw, and Lita's Gold Mine, across there that made three bucks that did quite a bit in the industry. On the bottom side, you got a Rusty daughter, ECR Sonny, over our Gold Mine. So you got Gold Mine on both sides. I've not seen the buck, but here's pictures of him. Some good bloodline in there to add to your herd. Kendall?
I've never seen him in person or nothing, but he looks the part. If you're needing size, looks like he's going to bring it to the table. He's out of a Rusty daughter that's getting harder and harder to get a hold of. Gold mine lines are really hard to find anymore, it seems like. So looks like you'd be able to add several straws of him to your collection if you wanted. He's got a pretty good front end on him for sure.
Thank you. Cooper?
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of size out of this, a lot. And you see that picture of him standing there with the does. Boy, you can just tell really how tall that sucker was. When I look at the pedigree here, one thing that really sticks out to me is in the maternal granddam position, you got Gold Mine 2 over JTV Queen. And I've heard Kent Perkins talk a lot about the Queen doe. He was a big fan of her. So when you're looking through the pedigree, take note of that. You got the Queen doe back in there. She's a daughter of JTV Klondike, but a lot of size here. There's plenty of does out there in the world that do need a little upsizing. So if that's you, here's your chance at 15 straws. we don't see people sell that many very often. So I think that's pretty neat.
Yep. And to add to that, I mean, probably not a lot out there, and I would think the consigner is saying, hey, if you get it and try it and you like it, guess what? You got 14 more. So that is a great chance to do that. Curtis?
It's really hard to.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Cooper.
Yeah, go ahead, Cooper.
This might get somewhat off topic, but I'm going to say it anyway. We get to chasing these straws. I know we're on a semen sale here too, but let me just throw it out there anyway. It's hard to get consistent doe herds when you've got 47 different sires out there in your field when you look at your does. So like Andy said, you try one straw, you really like it. Well, boy, we could get a whole herd of does out of this one buck. And that makes it easier when you're trying to get a consistent kid crop, is when your doe herd is consistent genetically. So there's my soapbox. Your turn, Curtis.
Well, when I look at that pedigree, I think Charles and Sherry Reese. I mean, that was their cross. That's what they did for several years, and really pushed that. I think did well with it. The gold mine in there, I think we've left out in the Southwest Cisco down there in the bottom with coming, through Rusty. On the top, you got MRG Outlaw, and we all know what he did on the buck test. So there's still some buck test performance there, but I think size is going to be the thing you're really going to pick up big goats if you're looking to increase size. And then this is, I think, a buck to do it. And like I said, 15 straws. You're not going to find somebody selling 15 straws at a time. That don't happen every day. So another opportunity here.
I don't think it was a soapbox, Cooper. I mean, just to add in there, I guess I need to switch to myself so I can talk. I don't know if it's the right game plan for me, but my plan was to kind of get some different stuff, see what those does produce, and then hopefully have enough to build off of that for the consistency. And Cooper said that earlier on in one of the lots. Consistency is a big thing. If your sample size is 4 does, I mean, that's not going to be a real big sample. I mean, you breed a buck to 20 or 30 at a time, then you're going to improve and see what you get to see in one pass. But nothing wrong with building out of this and trying it. And then I want to add in here, a lot of stuff going on in repo world. I don't know who else heard about it out there, but some great opportunities to do a lot of stuff with potentially one stick, and looking forward to seeing the outcome of that, because guess what? What I just said is what I'm going to do. Hopefully I got that stick in the tank and I can get more than just one doe with it. So had to throw that in there. Alrighty, going to next lot. Lot 15. Lot 15 is consigned by Mill Creek Ranch. This is 2 straws of GNV 33 Norseman. Semen is stored at Bonanza, and he is the son of EBM Dale, known as the doe maker. Norseman's dam is JFK Jamila 3. She's a daughter of Tasman Aristocrat, which is a really great line I like. Kendall?
I got to see this buck and his brother at a AKGA sale back in the day. I think they were yearlings at the time. I really like this genetic cross. I'm a big fan of Tasman Aristocrat, and he's got bottom side's a double dose of it. Dale's known to be a doe maker. He had a heck of a chest, but I think that Jamila doe added the rear end to it, and you just got a complete package with this buck. My good friend Craig Adams, it was his brain that put this together. It just happened that he got in a situation, had to sell his recips before he got the kids on the ground, so that's why they carry a different herd prefix instead of an AFK. But I really like this buck and his there's 2 or 3 of them, Norseman, Viking, and Premier Dale. So they're all pretty consistent build bucks, and like I said, I'm really fond of the bottom side of this pedigree.
Thank you, sir. Cooper.
Like Kendall said, you got the three, flush mates out of this deal that are all really nice bucks. An extreme amount of maternal power here. Like Kendall said, the aristocrat, it's double bred on there. Another thing I'll add is that a lot of the Dale stuff that I've been told about, not only were they excellent mamas, but they had a lot of parasite resistance to them as well. So you can only be a good mama so long if you can't fight off the worms. And it shows that, the Dale genetics are great at both of those. I'm a big fan of the Dale stuff that I've been around. And when you throw in that aristocrat on the bottom side, it's just icing on top.
Curtis?
That's the same deal. I think everybody wants Dale, and those Dale straws are hard to come by, but the Norseman semen might be a little cheaper and in your budget if you're wanting to go that route. And it sure doesn't hurt to have aristocrat in the bottom, that pedigree. I know from talking to Sky about this cross and Dale in general, these sons had better rear ends than Dale did. And I talked to Sky just several months back about maybe putting some of this into my herd, and he advised me to go through Norseman, Viking, or Premier Dale. He said for the money, he thought you was going to get a better animal. So throwing an aristocrat in there, get fairly close to that. So I think it'll be a good one to have.
All right, lot 16. Lot 16 is two straws of MYS Mystic Pangos Pistol. These are consigned by Square One. The storage location is SCK. We'll look at the pedigree here in just a second. You can see that he's a direct son of Pango Hua over a generator daughter, OLF Brandy. I'm familiar with this flush. I've got a mate to it. I really like what he does. I would think this cross would do a great job for you because Pistol, looking at his test record, he was number 3 ribeye on a buck in West Virginia 23. He was number 7 on a buck in Mississippi in 23. And then, again, these two straws are stored at SEK Genetics. Kendall?
I'm pretty fond of the Pango and the generator. I did the exact cross just backwards. I did generator over Pango and got a doe out of it. And that's always, she's done real good producing for me. And this buck seems to be doing really well for the breast. They're doing testing his offspring and doing well with them. So it's hard to find any Pango straws, and you gotta go through stuns.
They're
Because
not
the person
hard.
that's got those Pango straws, he's stingy, won't share them.
They're not hard to find.
I
It's just getting them turned loose of them.
I think we all know where they're at.
Yeah. Yeah, that's this is a good cross. I'm familiar with it, and the Bruss are working hard and testing that as well. So good opportunity here, Cooper.
I've seen several daughters of this buck in person, and I really like the way they're built. And like what Mike and Jesse have wrote on there, that his kids tend to thrive in harsh conditions. That's what we need in the Kiko world. There's plenty of goats that can be propped up, but there's no propping happen at Square One Farms. You get something out of their herd, something that they've tested, you can rest assured that it's been put to the test, and not just a buck test either. This is a buck that I dang sure would not be scared to use whatsoever. The does are built really nice out of him. and you can't kill him because Jesse already tried.
Curtis?
I'd agree with them as well too. I think it'd be hard to find another farm that's as hands off as Mike and Jesse are. I think. Heck, they've got to be tough just to put up with Jesse. So, um, but here you go again, Pango over Generator. That's a dang good cross. If and you want performance tested genetics, here's your opportunity there as well. So, I wouldn't be afraid to use it.
Definitely not. And just, I guess the three things that pop out to me on this, and Cooper started and it rang into me with this Pango Hua, you're going to get maternals, you're going to get parasites, and you're going to get udders. So if you need any one of those three things, I think this Pango Hua is what you should look at.
You get strong feed out of it too.
Yep.
Pango line.
Mm-hmm.
That was lot 16. Moving on to lot 17. Get browser over here so we can go with it. Lot 17 is consigned by Mountaintop Farms, Colton Pritchard. These two straws are stored at Triple W Genetics and looks like Bonanza. Looks like both in the description there. This is MJI Frankie. Frankie is a MGR Titans RC son, which goes back to Lighton's Titan and Lighton's Lady on the bottom. And then ABG Bonnie, which is out of TNT Dutch, a Loverboy buck, and Tay Joseph, which is a Sunboy 112, two straws.
This buck was bred by Jean Guffey. She ran a herd, her registered herd, pretty much like a commercial herd, pretty hands off. But she raised some very hardy maternal goats. And then if you look at the pedigree, that TNT Dutch buck, he was at Ron Polite's back in the day, and Ron bragged on how parasite resistant he was. That's a little rare to get an extremely parasite resistant Loverboy son. Usually they're average on parasites, but he was bragging on how resistant he was. So that's kind of something special in this pedigree, I think people might overlook.
All right, Cooper.
I'm a big fan of the Titans RC stuff that I've come across. It's hard to find Titans RC this close up. Colton has it wrote in there that Frankie did sire Sig Augustus, which is a buck that I really like that buck. Really do. Just like Kendall said, the stuff that Gene Guffey raised, it had to be a real world type of goat. And the maternals that I suspect you're going to get out of these Frankie straws are going to be hard to match. So,
Cooper? Curtis, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I just know from talking to Jean, she kept this buck's brother back to use as her main herd sire, then ended up losing him in a freak accident. Both his legs got broke in a tree, and she wished she'd kept this buck back. And I kind of kept an eye on him through the years, just knowing what Gene had told me. And because I had bought 3 of my original Kiko does come from Gene out of that buck's brother. And if you look back at my pedigrees, they've done real well for me. And like I said, Frankie's produced several good bucks, worked, I think, for the shorts. I don't know where all he'd been several years for different people, and notably probably like Cooper said, Sig Augustus, that son, who did real well on buck testing. So, Titans RC, going back there, getting into your lightning stuff again, Waco. So, pretty good pedigree. Anything Gene produced was good. So,
I seen some does out of him from the shorts had him, but if I'd have had a little bit more of my billfold, I would have definitely went for. So,
yeah.
Going on to lot 18, and as we move on to 18, I just want to make sure we do a clarification here. There's a clarification, Kendall, on Facebook that you don't own any straws. Dana's the one that owns them, just for the record.
That's what she
So-
thinks.
Yeah, so we all know that we need to be working on Dana to loosen them up.
She thinks she owns them.
I know whose name that counts in it. It ain't yours.
It's mine account.
So we're watching the Facebook here. I am the feed coming in. So we appreciate everybody tuning in, everybody watching. We got a good crowd going. So we'll try to move on here through it and not keep you too late. So next lot is lot 18 by USA Kikos. This is 2 straws stored at Bull Nanza. This is GHK Painted Wagon. That's a Blue Sun over ABG Ozarks Bumpkin, which Kendall has a little familiarity with. What do you got, Kendall?
Yeah, I owned this buck until Ryback broke his leg and messed him up pretty good. But I bought him to bring in the Blue Sun genetics into my herd, and then the bottom side of that doe was a very good doe for Dave and Linda. So I brought him in with me and Craig Adams owned him together. So then I think his littermate sister is at, I don't know if she's still alive, but she was at Pat Lars, and she done really well with her. So I had some really nice daughters out of him. Good maternal does. Got some flashy color if it's what you're into. But he's a pretty good, easy keeping buck. Like I said, he didn't live as long as he should have, but that wasn't his fault. He just wasn't fast enough to get away from Ryback.
Thank you, sir. Cooper?
Like Kendall said, there's not a whole lot of progeny out there on this buck, and I think it's a shame because the couple of does that I've got that's got Painted Wagon up close are really nice does. And I think that comes from a combination of the Blue Sun on top and the Ozark Bumpkin doe that is his mama. I would have really liked to have seen this buck had a full life and seen what he really could have done because the does that I've got that go back to him are really nice ones. So I think this is a good opportunity.
I also like to add, all the semen was collected by us, and I believe it's less than 40 straws is what we collected on him. So there's not a whole lot of straws on him out there.
Curtis?
When I look at that pedigree and look at the Blue Sun, of course, that's what sticks out to me because Blue Sun, to me, is one of the most consistent lines in this whole Kiko breed with what he can give you, right along the probably with Tango, as you talked about earlier. But your parasites, your feet, your good udders, your good maternals, and and with the right cross, plenty of growth. So that's what I'd go. I don't know much about the doe line on there, but I'm sure if Kendall brought it in, it had to have been a reason that he done it. So sure, she was a good one.
I think good chance here to get in on the base of straws getting out there and improve your herd. Moving on to lot 19. Lot 19 is the audience there. We do have a lot of people watching, and people are already telling Dana that they love them, just for the record. And Jessie Bruce said she was listening, Curtis, so keep it nice. So this is lot 19 from S&S Kikos, stored at Bull Nanza. This is COP Raging River Generator 243, a generator son there, as you might guess, over Sports Cat Sky 408 daughter. I don't have any personal insight on him. Kendall, do you? Where he's with Chris?
I believe is this the one you owned, Curtis?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I had him, in the early days. I was just telling somebody about him the other day. He's the body type phenotype that I like, that short squared look, which isn't always what you get out of Generator. Um, I think, I've got some of this in my tank as well. I'm the one that collected the semen on him. Matter of fact, that picture's here at my place. Um, I'll just be honest, a little hesitant to use it because I didn't want too much rain in my herd. But with the doe herd that I have now, over the years of selecting for the type that I have, I can see me using this semen in the near future. With Generator over Sports Cat. Chris told me one time that Sports Cat Coco made him over $30,000. So she had been a pretty good doe. Um, but he's to me the most squared up, shorter Generator son I'd ever seen. So
Good deal. Cooper?
I've got some of this in my tank as well, solely based on what Curtis has told me about him and that picture right there. How can you get a much of a better, nice looking buck than that right there? The Sports Cat on the bottom side is really what drew me, and I'm sure that's why he's a little shorter and more squared off. I haven't used it yet, but I dang sure don't have any plans to get rid of it. I think this is a really nice opportunity to get all the good stuff that you can get from Generator, yet shorten them up a little bit, widen them out a little bit with the Sports Cat end of it. So
Awesome. Lot, excuse me, lot 20. Lot 20 is signed by Stony Creek Kikos. This is 2 straws stored at Bonanza. This is GHK Blackhawk, who is a Cherokee Fiddler's son over a QFK Lady Blackbird. QFK was Dr. Patel. The Tay W63 and W65 Princess does out of Terminator 2 were some really strong, long-living, producing does. I always look for that, and to see it up close here, a great pedigree and a good-looking buck. Curtis, you want to start us off?
yeah, I mean, same deal. I think, looking at Cherokee Fiddler, over Tasman Zorro and Terminator's Cross. I think that one picture of him standing on that cover doesn't do me any good because he was a broader built buck and he looks there pinched off. And that picture to me don't do him a lot of justice. But good buck. Uh, I've started to buy some of this several times and just haven't ever done it. Actually, even thought about buying the buck from Bill when he put him up for sale, and Bill talked me out of it. So anyway, I think it's a good buck. Some good lines in the bottom of that as well.
Yep. Cooper?
this is one of my favorite bucks that you could buy semen on. I've got several daughters, several granddaughters, and great granddaughters. Fiddler over Lady Blackbird. That Lady Blackbird doe was one heck of a doe. Extremely maternal all the way through this buck. I wish that Bill would have been a little tougher and stuck it out with him, but I don't blame him either. If Bill kept him a little longer, I know he'd ended up with a whole lot of Black Hawk daughters retained in his herd. I know that he did go back and use some of this semen a year or two ago, and I looked at some of those daughters that were raised on Bill's place, and holy moly, I mean, excellent looking goats. I really like the Black Hawk buck, not just because of what's behind him, but because of what he's put on the ground. This is a really good opportunity for people. Maternal jackpot, absolutely.
Kendall?
Yeah, just to echo what they're saying, I'm a pretty good big fan of this cross. Like I said, I like Fiddler. He's packing the meat and maternals. And then that Tay 007. We used to have a son of Tay 007 back in the day. I got him at a really old age. Only got to use him like 2 seasons. and you can't. I mean, that bloodline's very, very hard to find anymore. Um, strong maternals on the bottom side.
All right. Moving on to lot 21. Lot 21 is signed by Harlow Hills Farm. These two straws are stored at Bonanza, and this is two straws of BBM Sports Cat Y253, a son of Sky S408 Sports Cat, and BBM Pretty Girl, which is out of Nick, and ECR Gloria, which is a Gold Mine 2 doe that hard to get a hold of now. Did a really good job. Curtis, you want to start us off again? We'll kind of rotate it up.
Yeah, well, I think you look at that buck and you see that phenotype that Sports Cat, to me, is known for. Good straight across the top, plenty of hips. Looks like he's good in the front end. And everybody talks about the Nick Gloria cross, so out of a daughter out of that. So I'm just a big fan of Sports Cat, period. So wish I had more of it.
Cool. Kendall?
Yeah, I like to see this buck and this picture of him. He looks like he's later in life. It'd been really good to see him at a younger age, but you can tell by looking he was packing the meat even at an old age. So he's got the length from the Nick Gloria, and then square. It looks pretty square and deep. So I'd say it's a pretty well thought out cross from Bill and Brenda Moore.
Cooper?
Yeah, I think when you look at the genetics here, it really ties it all together well, and it gives you the buck you're looking at. A lot of width and meat from the Sports Cat end of things. You're going to get a little bit more frame from his bottom side. And if you're unlike me and you like colored goats, there's a lot of color on that one. I know that several people have used this semen throughout the years, and I haven't heard anything bad about the kids they're getting out of it. So good opportunity.
I had a producer tell me they thought that this buck had not been utilized the way he should be. And that was a good opportunity there to get the Sports Cat and a Sports Cat son into your herd. So, moving on to lot 22. Lot 22 is brought to you by Sterling V Ranch. These two straws are stored at Bonanza, Flying Cow, and SEK again, making it easy for you to get that. Surely you got a storage account at one of those locations. TBR Uno is out of Gal Browser FS 891 Hammer Son over at KMG V28, which is a rotating 150 daughter, and PGM April, which is goes back to Rake Austin Boy, and Gen V22, which is out of BBM Dale 1400 we talked about earlier. Cooper, you want to open us up on this one?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Uno. I've seen kids that Sterling V's made. I've seen kids that Colton Pritchett's made, and multiple others. So I've seen Uno offspring race in several different environments, and they're all just like I would want them. Short, stout little meat wagons, extreme parasite resistance. But when you get down to that bottom side here, you bring in a whole lot of maternal based genetics, which, I mean, meat, maternal, parasite resistance, how do you beat it? Extremely well tested genetics as well in terms of the buck test. Uno's one that I've got in the tank to use, and I dang sure will be using it. I think you ought to as well.
Curtis?
Be the same way. I mean, when you look at Browser there, Hammer, you look at that whole top line, performance tested genetics, and you go down in the bottom of what PJ's done through there. Dale, all of that stuff, wrapped up in there. And who knows, did real well on parasites and his tests, and sons and daughters have done real well. You look at the picture of him there; he is a meat wagon. I don't see what's not to like there. So um, the bad part is you could have bought it years ago a little bit cheaper. It's not going to be cheap anymore. So here's your chance to get a good one.
Kendall?
I'm pretty sure
Real
this
big
buck
body.
was tested in Maryland.
He was. The Vanderhees
he's-
they've got a great write up on this. If you want to go read it on the lot, they have all his performance testing bucks that and how they ranked throughout the years. He very well. He was 2015 Western Maryland buck. He was number 1 fecal, number 6 overall, out of 84 head.
Yes, he's my type of buck. That's for sure. I mean, I like being able to see their belly rub the grass. I like that air don't weigh much between their belly and the ground, so it's kind of way I like them built.
Means you got to grow your grass taller.
I do grow tall grass. But
That's true. All right.
that Johnson grass gets about 7 foot tall.
Lot 23. Lot 23 is DRZ Willie. These are 2 straws consigned by Split Hoof Ranch, stored at Bonanza. If you're looking to add bone and substance and a big front end and forearm bone to add the ribeye score, then Curtis thinks this is a buck for you. He's given a great opportunity here, like we talked about earlier. High bid can also buy up to 6 more straws. Willie's out of butterscotch, which goes back to cinnamon toast. I have a buck out of cinnamon toast that I really, really like. And you got LVL, who line bred there. Golden Boy. It's heavy, heavy Golden Boy. Curtis, you want to open us up on this one?
He's one of the first bucks that really turned my program around as far as the phenotype that I had. We had used that Generator 243 buck just one season and moved away from him and tried some other stuff. And then we come back and said, hey, this is the type we need. And we drove to Nebraska, picked up Willie, brought him home, and just put him to work. And really, he wasn't for sale when I sold him. Guy for 2 years asked me to buy him. And I finally decided to let him buy him. He just, well, if you want, like I said, bone and substance, you want meat, muscle, it's there. Never had to deworm him. I know Chris just lost him this last year, so I think he was 9.5 years old when he lost him. And I promise you, up at Chris's place, he wasn't pampered any. Just a good buck. Kind of miss him around here.
Cooper?
I think Curtis said it all. I mean, this was his buck, and man, when you look at the pictures of him, what more could you want? In case anybody missed it, we are raising meat goats, and that's a meat goat we're all looking at right there. So,
Yes, sir.
great opportunity.
Kendall?
I think this is one of those genetic crosses you can add to the classic cross list. You know, you got Generator, Moneymaker, then you got Nick Gloria, and you got Fiddler over Iron Horse, and this one is Golden Boy over Heritage Daughters, and it just worked. It worked over multiple different Heritage does. So I've added this semen to my collection too. I have plans for it in the future, so I believe it brings the body style I like with a different genetic package, so I don't get too tight line bred on my end. So it's kind of what I'm looking at with it.
All right. Lot 24. Lot 24 is Webb Gunslinger. Excuse me, Webb Gunslinger. This is consigned by JD Ranch Hicos. Storage location is Bonanza. Gunslinger was number 1 ADG and top 10 Maryland buck in 2013. This is a Shogun son. over a Webb Mariah AVG 62 Thunder was her sire, and then ECR Nessie, which was Nick. I followed this bottom side quite a bit after talking to Weber, and I've got a AVG 62 Thunder in my herd. I wish she was bred to Shogun. That ain't happening. Kendall?
This is that group of bucks he put in the Maryland test in 2013 that kicked everybody's tail in the average daily gain. Weber and Dana and myself, we split top consigner that year because he done such a good job on the average daily gain. That they didn't know who should be the top consigner because I had the parasite resistant side down, but that genetic, that Shogun cross just did it on pasture. Parasites were a little bit up, but not bad, but they just kicked everybody's rear end on average daily gain. So if you're wanting to add some, I don't know who wouldn't want to add, but if you got a lot of pasture and you're needing some growth, I believe this is the genetics that you should be looking at.
Curtis?
Same thing. ADG buck is what I've always known to be. I think you go back over that Nick Gloria cross back in here, if I remember correctly. But I think there was 4 or 5 brothers in that thing, like Kendall said, just whipped everybody on the growth side of it. So, and not pretty easy on the eyes. So sure he's going to throw you some color.
Coop?
Yeah, I'll just kind of hint on what Kendall was saying about this set of genetics ability to grow on pasture. Everybody that's getting into the Kikos, they always hear, well, you can just throw these suckers out there and they just live. Well, some of them can, and some of them can grow well and not just live, but they can grow well and look good too. I think that's something that's really lacking in the Kiko world these days, is the ability to truly go out and thrive on forage. So if that's something you want to add, I would be looking here.
All right. Did I get everybody? I did, didn't I?
Yep.
Thank you. Next lot's lot 25. Lot 25 is by Patmos Island Kikos. 2 straws of KCE Bart stored at Bonanza. KCE Bart was a Titans Hammer son over that KMG V28 that we talked about a little bit earlier, Rotan 150 daughter over a Tasman Aristocrat JFK Moonray. Coop, you want to go ahead and go on this one?
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Bart himself, but when do you get to put Titans Hammer that close on your kids at your own farm? You don't get that opportunity very much. You look here, it's Hammer over Rotan 150 over Tasman Aristocrat. I mean, he's a really nice looking buck, a really nice looking set of papers that goes with him. I see nothing wrong why somebody wouldn't want to try this. No reason whatsoever.
Kendall?
Yeah, I agree with Cooper on why you wouldn't want to add him to your mix. Trying to think, isn't that the same genetic cross as Browser? Isn't it?
That's how I
He's
think.
a little,
Yeah,
I was going to say he's overshadowed by Browser is what happened.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
looking buck.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much same genetic cross, and he looks like a well-built buck. I've never had him bark kids or granddaughters or anything like that. So, but just looking at the pedigree, I think he'll bring what I'd be wanting to the table anyway.
Did
Yeah,
Colton
you're right,
have?
Ken.
Did Colton have him? Did Colton have that buck?
Colton used him a couple of years,
Yeah. Okay. That's all right. That's what I was thinking.
couple seasons.
Yeah. Curtis, got anything else you want to add?
Well, I think they covered it all. Like I said, I don't. Colton used him, and to get hammered up that close, that's uh, not a bad deal. He's a good-looking buck. So, sure, he's going to add bone and substance if that's what someone's looking for. It's there. Quite a pedigree.
Next lot 26, is consigned by Weber Farm. 2 straws stored at Bonanza. This is Webb Riptide. Riptide was the number 2 overall buck in 2015 Western Maryland buck test. He's a direct son of great proven dam Webb Ginger, which we've seen a lot of that in the sales. She definitely is a really good producer. I had a doe out of her. Really like Gabrielle. 2 straws stored at Bonanza, brought to you by Weber. Kendall.
I believe he was tested in Maryland, finished second, and then the following year he sent another Ginger's son and won the test. So that bodes well for the bottom side of this pedigree, consistency in it, and you don't see much of the White Knight out there. I'm not sure what happened with that buck. I thought he sold him to a commercial guy, but I'm not sure. But goes back on the top side to Taz and Aristocrat daughter, I believe. So that's the kind of bloodlines I like to see, is the Aristocrat and Pango cross. So I believe that he's already proven himself on pasture, I believe, on test at Maryland, and I believe he done really well for Dave Peters. That's who Weber sold him to later on. I had several Riptide dollars. I had a couple Riptide dollars that crossed really well with my herd sires, so good maternals and milk production was great. Good udders.
Cooper.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Kendall mentioned that. Well, I think he sold him commercial, and I think that there's always a lot of negative connotation to something like that. The commercial people are truly out there raising meat goats. They don't care about what the papers say. They don't care about what this says. So if somebody, well, I promise you, John didn't sell him cheap. So if somebody wanted to spend good money to just put over commercial does, it's because they saw something in him that was going to make them money on the commercial side, and that's making meat goats. So whenever we hear that something went commercial, don't always think that it's because it was trash, because oftentimes it's not.
Commercials about making money on meat.
Absolutely. So another one of my soapboxes. I'll step down.
Thank you. I enjoy them. Curtis?
Me, I look at the pedigree again, and you look at the bottom side, there's that Webb Ginger doe. Once again, no matter what that doe's been bred to, it's been good. So sometimes we talk about June, trying to get close to June. There are some things out there to get close to Ginger, but this would be a little bit different genetic cross to pick up going in there with White Knight. So I bought some of this a few years ago, and I still have some of it with plans of using it. So.
All right. Next lot is lot 27. Lot 27 is consigned by Hancock Farm. 2 straws of SDR Zeus Stingbear stored at Bonanza. Zeus Stingbear here, as we talked about earlier, Sally and Dick Rutherford is a own son of Helsington Sting over that Generator's Big Bear that we just talked about earlier, and ECR Petunia out of Rusty. And we got that Gloria following her up with the Gold Mine. Personally, I've seen a son of Zeus Stingbear that the Jessies have. He's got a lot of bone, good frame. He's produced some great does for the Jessies that we've seen in the ring. That's all I can add there. Cooper, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll just start with, I don't personally have a whole lot of experience with with much of these genetics at all, especially up in the first several lines. You do see that big bear buck that we talked about earlier, but I like white goats, but this is a really cool looking animal. For whatever that's worth, he's really striking. Neat color pattern to him. I would assume that you're going to get some size out of this. So,
Thank you. Curtis?
And same deal. I think if you're looking for some growth in size, I think with Sting there and Generator in there, I think you're going to get that. Ought to come with big bone and that buck there's carrying black feet. I like black feet be another thing that that's what I've always heard about him. Had good feet, good bone structure, a lot of growth out of him. Personally, have never had anything out of him, but I do know the buck that you're talking about with Kenneth, Jesse, and seen pictures of him. I sure like the looks of that buck. So.
Kendall?
The pedigree on the bottom side of this buck, I remember when Dick and Sally bought Petunia, I think it was actually before it was actually the cream of the crop. It was ECR production sale. And she is a very feminine doe, I remember. And she's probably one of the higher selling does at the sale. And then that Piper Bear, I want to say she was at Lee Patrick's for a while, and he was real high on her, maternals. So I believe not only has this buck got the size, it's going to bring size if that's what you're needing and to add to your herd. I believe the bottom side of this is just as strong as far as maternals goes.
Okay. Yeah, I more than saw the blue steel buck. I've got two does here from Mr. Jesse that's going on their second kidding, and they did a super job on their first kidding. I'm looking forward to the second one a whole lot. So I think a great opportunity here. Sting is of course super old, one of the originals, and I don't even know if there's any out there left, but a great chance here to get Sting up close. Moving on to lot
He's so
28.
original, he didn't even make the trip.
Yeah.
He just come over in straws.
Yep. I forgot that. Yep. So lot 28 is consigned by Raging River Kiko's farm. This is one straw stored at Multi-Gen. Unique offering here. I've not seen this buck offered up. Maybe publicly. I may have missed it, but you got a Blue Sun Sun over ECR Maya, which is a Rusty over a Nick daughter. Kendall, you want to go here?
I got to see this buck at Lee's as I don't remember how old he was. I think Dorman offed him before he got to be an old age. Dorman's pretty rough on him. But the doe, that Maya doe is, I believe, Lee's top grossing doe on his farm as far as what he sold kids out of. He's made more money off that doe than any other doe. But strong pedigree in my opinion, and the doe side like one of his best, I would say.
Cooper?
I mean, Blue Sun over Rusty. That's the extent of what I know about this one. Blue Sun's great. End of story.
Thank you. Curtis?
I'm gonna agree with Cooper. I think Blue Sun, and over those Rusty genetics, Nick there in the bottom as well. Never saw the buck, don't know a lot about it, but Blue Sun, I always say is one of my favorite lines in this. Here's a chance to get something out of a son from him. So.
Thinking as we're talking here, I do have a workhorse daughter that goes back to ECR Maya from Fred Brown. Fern, she's been in production for a long time here at my farm and does a super job every year. She's getting old and still doing it. So, yep, as everyone said, great opportunity here. Going to the next lot, lot 29 is 2 straws of Gotex 1489 stored at Bonanza, consigned by Mill Creek Ranch. Original here. Cooper, can you help us?
Not a lot. I wasn't there when he was born. But all of the Gotex stuff, from what I've been told, is going to be tough, real world type animals. The Kikos were brought over here for a reason, and he was one of them. So something that's interesting to me, you don't see a lot of the Compton Downs stuff. You see down there on his maternal side. But the Compton Downs stuff that I know about has been really good goats. So good opportunity at one of the originals here from Dr. Ann, being sold by Brent.
Curtis?
Well, it'd be the same thing. If you want to get back to, old school genetics, I mean, here's an opportunity to get, out of this buck here. And I don't recognize a lot out of that on the bottom pedigree, even though there's Compton Downs. What I've seen out of it, I do think is pretty good. But I don't know a lot about those particular animals. But, a lot of people through the years, in my years in this, you see some of this 1489 animals show up from time to time, and they all seem to be tough. Parasite resistance is usually there. So if you want something rare in old school genetics, here's your chance to go back and get some of it.
Kendall?
The reason why we don't know much about this bloodline is because he's the beginning of it, in my opinion, because he's what we know. He's what come over. He's what Dr. Ann went to New Zealand and she selected 4 bucks and he was one of them. That should be enough to make anybody want to add it because she's the original importer and she pretty much selected 4 bucks out of that 89 crop and he was one of them.
Great chance here to mix in some old original stuff to your herd. That, like I said, what they were selected for and brought over here for, you can get back to some of that grassroots stuff. I need to make a announcement here about Drifter, the previous lot. Reason there's not much known, Chris Patrick messaged in. He said Drifter hung himself at 18 months old. So that's one of the reasons you've not seen anything really out of him from live covers probably. And I think great opportunity here. Thanks, Chris, for commenting that in.
So I blamed it on Dorman. It wasn't Dorman's fault.
Well, Dorman had the rope. I've had them. I say that. I've seen one hang herself on a string in the barn. So yeah. Lot 30. If I'm keeping up right. See 29. Yep. Lot 30. Lot 30 is consigned by Hancock Farm. This is COP Raging River Rolo. Stored at Bonanza. Cooper, can you start us off?
Yep, I'm going to start off by the odd fact that there is a Kiko Man soy sauce bucket in the back of
Let's see it.
behind the buck. I think that's interesting.
I was like, I don't know what the hell he's going with this. That's what they're collecting him in.
Oh, man. This ought to be good stuff then. Sting and a whole bunch of onyx on the bottom side. That's as much as I can give you.
Thank you. Curtis, you want to take a stab?
I'd be saying, it's another chance at a Sting son if someone's interested in those old school genetics. Looks like it's line bred tail on it, like Cooper was saying on the bottom. Don't know a lot about him. So I know he was raised, by Chris Patrick. So
Thank you. I'm slow on the switch. Sorry, Kendall.
He was raised by Chris, sold at the NKR Spotlight sale. I believe, shoot, lost his name. Daggone it. Georgia guy bought him. Troy Boone bought him.
Troy Boone.
And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm thinking he might have been the high selling buck. If he wasn't, he was up there second or third high selling that year. So pretty good stout front end on him, long body, typical sting line. So
moving on to lot 31. Lot 31 is consigned by USA Kikos. This is 2 straws stored at Bonanza. This is MKL Paladin. Paladin is out as Ozark Cash, which goes back to Marshall, and Kendall knows a little bit about that. And then we got Wild Bill on the bottom, which is Terminator 2 Son, and then Lightning's Lady E07. Yeti put in that he was a 2016 West Virginia Buck Test Grand Champion overall, top buck and highest ADG in 2016. West Virginia. I'd like to try this. I need to make a stab at it, make it count. Don't have it. Kendall.
Me and Yeti bought this buck partnership, and I used him 2 years in a row, and then sold my share to Yeti, and then something happened, cougar or something. I don't remember, but I really liked the buck. He had a little more leg than I want in goats in my Kikos now, but it didn't hurt much. I mean, his daughters didn't seem to keep long legs, but he had the growth, and it's what he's known to. He'll bring the size to him if that's what you're after. I thought it was a good dam. Dam really attracted my attention with Wild Bill over the Lightning line, so
Curtis.
kind of went after that.
Curtis.
Yeah, I think that I know him, as a buck test winner, but I actually bought a Chinook son from Kendall out of a daughter from that buck. Passed on one that finished a little higher on the test, going after Paladin Blood's what I was doing, along with Chinook. Ended up losing him to pneumonia, but there was no doubt he was going to be the biggest buck on my place if he'd lived it long enough. He was just huge. So the growth's there, and I think with what I've seen, that was a grandson to him, so he was passing it on. It's not every day you see semen out of a buck test winner either, so here's your chance.
For sure. Cooper?
I'll just mention my well-known affinity to the Wild Bill line, especially his daughters, which is, what big reason why Kendall wanted to buy this buck in the first place. So a lot of growth. Sounds like you're going to end up with a larger framed goat, and then you can mix in the great parasite resistance and maternal abilities from what you're getting out of Wild Bill. And like Curtis says, it's not every day you get an opportunity to just straight up buy semen out of a buck test winner. But Black Friday's going to be that day.
Yes, it is. For sure. Next up, lot 32. Lot 32 is TMK Dale's Wonder Man. He is consigned by SNS Kikos. This is BBM Dale 1400 that we talked about earlier over Tayonics, Terminator 2 daughter, GFI RM Miss Wonder. McGill's did several things with her, I think. She also was doing a good job. Cooper, you want to start us out on this one?
Yeah, I've seen this buck in person. I'm probably the one that actually collected these straws that we're going to be bidding on. I've seen him when he's tensed up at the collection place, and I've seen him just out in the pasture at Wayne's house. He's a Dale son. Made a lot of really nice daughters for Wayne and Lisa. I hate that they lost him young because I think he had a really good future ahead of him. They had no parasite issues out of them, which we wouldn't expect them to, with the Dale on top and a lot of Terminator stuff on the bottom. Nice opportunity here. I know that Wayne and Denny, who were partners on him, sure wish he was still alive, but he is alive in the tank.
Thank you, Curtis.
Yeah, same. I guess echo the same deal here. If you've been to many of the sales over the last several years, before they lost this buck, there were some really nice daughters out of him come through the sales and brought pretty good money. And same deal I've heard Wayne talk about, sure hated to lose him, but it's just one of those freak deals that happened. And, thankfully they did get him collected and give us all an opportunity to pick up on some, a son of Dale. There's not many of them out there either. So.
Kendall?
Sorry, trying not to get bit by a dog. Yeah, the pedigree stacked with this buck too, and like they were echoing what they were saying, I've seen some really, really nice does come through the sales that were sired by him. So I got to see that Miss Wonder doe at Ron and Christian's. She was as nice as any Kiko doe I've seen, long and deep. So I believe the does will be good additions to the herd out of this buck. Just maternals. Maternals is the key to Kikos, and that's kind of what we all keep echoing here. But that's the key to success in the Kiko business, I believe.
Definitely. Lot 33. Lot 33 is KCE Eli. He's consigned by Sterling V Ranch. These are stored at Flying Cow. 2 straws, 1 money. Amy put in here, Eli is the direct son of the record-setting Fort Valley Buck Test Winter Titans Hammer. Eli's Dam KMG V28 is the daughter of Rotan 150 over Tasman Aristocrat. If this seems familiar and you think we're repeating, it's because it's the same cross. That KMG V28 out of a Hammer son. We talked about what that cross has done. Curtis, you want to add to that?
Yeah. One thing you said looked familiar because he's the full brother to Barton Browser. It just happened that Eli got sent to a commercial farm for the most part, and like Cooper said earlier tonight, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with that buck. It was just the way the tables was played out, and that's where the buck went, spent most of his life there. And I think the Hancocks are the ones that actually collected him, and probably where that semen comes from. But, I've got some of this in the tank. Wish I'd known the picture. I do have some pictures of him. I don't know how I could get them onto the
You can comment on this
computer
this
here
post.
for everybody to look at. But if you've got any questions, someone wants to reach out to me, I'd sure send them to you.
Great.
So
Cooper?
right in line with the
Yep.
rest of those bucks.
Back to my comment about going commercial, but they do that, and when a seed stock producer sees what they're doing and wants to buy them, bring them back into the registered world, I think that speaks even more highly of them, of the buck. So, like Kurt said, it's the same deal you got with Barton Browser, and the pictures I have seen of this buck, man, he's got a beautiful front end. He really does. So, another good chance here.
Kendall?
Yeah, just same cross, different name. It's gonna consistency's there. You can see it in. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen pictures of this buck, and him and Bart are pretty well about the same look, style, same build. Kind of what you like. It's kind of why I like. That's what I like to see in siblings for
I
them to
think,
be
yeah,
similar.
I think it also speaks if you got $3 out of that cross that were out there doing work and going to a commercial herd. And when Cooper got on the soapbox just a little bit earlier, it made me think about. To me, I think that's kind of like an award. You get a papered buck going to a commercial herd. You got the ticket. You got what they're wanting to do, and
Yeah.
good thing.
Well, I think that's what we all need to be looking at. Is
Yeah.
if we can't keep the commercial people happy, if we're not raising our goats to be hardy enough to be on a commercial herd, we might be doing it wrong, in my opinion.
So
Amen, Kendall.
We're
Amen.
supposed to be able to provide them with better animals, not vice versa.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you all. Lot 34. Lot 34 is consigned by Raging River Kikos. Take note, please. This is one straw only, stored at ML Multigen. This is ECR Blackbeard. On the wrong lot. Let me bump it up one. Here we go. This is ECR Blackbeard, a Nick son over ECR Glory that we talked about a little bit ago. A Gold Mine 2 daughter. Great cross here. I do have Blackbeard in the tank. And I have used it, and I have retained a doe out of that cross. So, good chance here. Cooper, let's go.
I mean, like you said, this is one of the legendary Nick over Gloria crosses. It goes back. That line has made a lot of really nice goats. And when I think about the Blackbeard stuff, what I think about first and foremost is depth of body. If I'm remembering my goats correctly, he made a lot of really deep bodied goats. And I'm scrolling through pedigree search here, and it sure looks like the folks at Raging Rivers used him quite a bit. They've got most of the registered animals on there, and we know the type of animals that they've owned over the years. And if they kept on and used him that much, then he was probably pretty good.
Yep. Kendall?
I was at the sale when this buck sold. I can't remember exactly how many offspring from that flush was in the sale, but it was several. There's several bucks out of the cross and several does, and they all fetched north of $2,000 a piece, which a lot of people nowadays say, well, that's not as, we're selling them for way higher than that. But back then, there wasn't a whole lot of Kikos bringing north of 2,000 consistently. And this flush, there was almost every one of them that sold was over 2,000. So they were very uniform. The bucks were all looked like cookie cutters. There's all different colors, but they were all body style was all the same. The does were very feminine, and the big thing was they all went. Most of them all went to breeders that had success with them. You got your Mingos and your hobos come from the Nick Gloria bottom side, and your Blackbeard, and there was a Jack. There was a different. I can't remember the other one. The Oreo Blast, Jack. There was a Blackbeard. Several other that went. They went to Texas and Illinois and all over the country, and they all had success with the cross. So, like I said, it's a legendary cross. Be kind of neat to see some of this brought back to life.
Yep. Curtis?
Echo the same deal there. The Nick over Gloria cross. You've heard a lot about that through the years, and I think maybe even kind of the deal that set the standard to start these sales that we have these days. It was Terry having that production sale to sell the animals out of that flush. So Personally, I've never seen anything out of it, but I've heard it the whole time I've been in the Kikos. Is Nick over Glory one of the better flushes they've had.
Thank you. Moving on to lot 35. Lot 35 is consigned by Hancock Kiko Farm. This is 2 straws of GFI RM Power Drive 604. These straws are stored at Bonanza. Got a doe that goes back to Power Drive. Like her, she's actually, I think Gary Richardson used that for the Pango straw. One of those does that goes back to that, if I remember correctly. Interested to see this in here. Curtis, can you start us on this one?
Wow. The Hancocks are doing that. From what John told me, this is one that Gary, I think his name's Cunningham, compared this buck said he was on the same level as Hobo. I think after he sold the Hobo back to the Hancocks, this was the buck that he primarily used. And you're getting that Loverboy's hurt that Nancy has always talked about over Terminator Daughter. So I would sure think your parasite resistance is there. With Terminator being up that close. I've actually got some of this in the tank. I've never used it, so
What?
wish I could tell you more.
Yeah, I mean, that's just looking at the top side. I hadn't looked at it real close, but you got Moose there, and you got Loverboy's hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and TW12, and I talked to Nancy from time to time, and she says TW12 was her all time. She just best doe she ever had, and Nancy's had a lot of goats. So,
Yeah,
Cooper.
it'd
Yeah,
be hard to get that close to some of that.
Yeah.
when I looked at the pedigree, Curtis mentioned parasite resistance, and I have no doubt that you're going to get this here. But you're also going to get the good things from Loverboy, which was some growth, some fleshing ability, and good mamas. And you throw Moose in there a little bit, and you're probably going to add a little frame. I think Moose was a moose, from what I've been told. And if he said that this buck was comparable to Hobo, then you put these straws in your doe. Hope you get a couple doe kids out of it. It's probably going to make you good mamas.
For sure. Kendall.
Yeah, top side of this, there's line bred K12, so that's saying something as far as if that was Nancy's best doe. The top side, you got line bred, so that should concentrate the genetics for you a little bit. And the bottom side screams parasite resistance. So looks like a good genetic cross that you don't see a lot of anymore.
Lot 36. Lot 36 is consigned by Danny Vaughn. They are stored at Bonanza. This is 4 straws of TNT Raising Cane, a Loverboy son over JTV L2, which is goes back to Aladdin and Sinatra. Kendall.
This is a TNT buck. You got some Loverboy up close, real close. With the price of Loverboy straws, this might be the better buy. Bottom side, JTV stuff. They're one of the first breeders in the Kiko world, so strong genetics on the bottom side. I know Wes Pino owned this buck for a while and had really good success with him. So,
All right. Cooper.
Yeah, when I go back and think about, some of my favorite goats I wish I'd owned, whatever it is, Raising Cane's back there in a lot of them. I think that like what Danny put on there, he was known for passing on maternal traits to offspring, and that's all I've ever heard is that, just like what you're going to get out of the Lover Boy, Raising Cane didn't drop the ball on that. He passed on excellent maternal traits as well. So I think this is I don't think I've ever seen Raising Cane straws up for sale. I might be misremembering, but I think it's a really neat opportunity.
Yeah, they have been, but not often. I think just a couple of times out there. Curtis?
It'd be another deal. Told me you don't see them for sale very often. Maybe because there's not that many out there and available. And I can go back and say some of my first original does had a little Raising Cane in them as well. That they actually came from West, and they're kind of the backbone of it. And you look at some of the older pedigrees in my goats, you're going to see some Raising Cane in there. And then on the bottom side, Kendall talked about JTV, that Gotex Caprice was one of the original does that came over when the Valleys bought Caprice and Confederate. That's what started their flushing through that doe line. So some old school genetics, but Raising Cane's going to bring the maternal. If you want a doe that's really going to milk, that's what I've heard, and I think good bone and size come along with it. So you don't see them for sale often.
No, and as Kendall or whoever said, with the price of Lover Boys, I don't know why I've never taken a chance on Raising Cane, but I think it's a good opportunity to try that out.
Yeah.
When I first looked through the catalog a couple weeks ago, other than the elephant in the room that we're going to get to eventually, these are probably the straws that I was most interested in seeing what they sold for and seeing if I might be able to get some. I think he's a good buck. So,
all right. Moving on, lot 37. Lot 37 is consigned by Stony Creek Kikos, stored at Bonanza. 2 straws stored at Bonanza. This is MCR Street Smart. Street Smart is a Blue Sun son out of that D18 doe that we talked about earlier. Once again, you got that producer there producing a nice buck here. Bill's got a good write-up on the buck side. Street Smart's producing number 7 REA and also a 13 overall winner in the 23 West Virginia buck test. One of his daughters was a dam to the number 4 overall winner in the 25 West Virginia buck test. His son's owned by the Barnhart, sired the number 1 overall in 2025 in West Virginia buck test. So buck performance testing here out of this buck. Cooper, you want to start us?
Yep, I think that this buck right here, if I had to put together a top 5 of bucks that are still alive right now that I have personal experience with, he would be in it. I like Street Smart a lot. I've got a daughter out of him at home who is, I think she'll be, 3 or 4 this year. She's been really good for me. I've seen him multiple times. I really, really like this buck. And I spoke earlier about the Blue Sun over D18 cross and how much I liked it. And he's one of the flush mates. So I don't think you can go wrong here. This is a really nice buck.
Curtis?
I'm going to echo the same bill again with Cooper. I've seen this buck and really, really like him. He probably is my favorite of the 3 that we've talked about personally. Not knocking the other ones, but this buck is just a little more compact to me than what the other 2 are. Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but he's got performance tests behind him as well. He's done well there. Bill actually put this buck up for sale earlier this year, and I don't think he sold him, but I called Cooper and we discussed about what we thought about that buck, and neither one of us really had anything negative to say about that buck. I think the problem really was I don't need any more bucks. So, but he's one it was pretty hard to pass up, knowing what he's done and just the type that he is. I really like this buck a lot. So I actually have some of this in my tank as well.
Awesome. Kendall?
I think Bill talked himself out of selling him after,
Bill.
Think too.
and I got a few I got a daughter out of him in the herd. I just like the way, like Curtis and Cooper both said, the genetics in this buck and the way this one's built. That's what I like. It's what I'm after. Is that barrel, deep, meaty, low to the ground, easy flesh and goat, and that's what I believe he fits the bill. So I decided to take a chance. I got a daughter, and we'll see how that goes. But she'll be kidding for the first time this year, so I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Lot 38. Lot 38 is consigned by Split Hoof Ranch. This is one straw, 2 embryos stored at Bull Nanza. Pilgrim just had the high selling doe at the 2025 cream of the crop sale, and I was on her. Just couldn't get her. Wish I could have closed that deal.
I think you bid one more time, you'd have had her.
I don't know. That's what I said that about 10 times. But anyway, yeah, here's your chance to raise your own Pilgrim daughters. I have one, and that was the reason I was bidding on the second one. Really like her. Looking forward to her being here for a long time and not doing anything dumb and hanging herself. So, Curtis, talk about this.
Yeah, I feel fortunate to own this buck. It's just kind of a freak deal to run up on the semen on this deal to produce him. We flushed with him as a 10-month-old buck. I felt good enough about him, seeing what I had seen. Had another couple flushes going on here at the same time. We busted on the other flushes, and we got some embryos on this deal. Rather than put them up or put them in, I thought, I'm just going to live cover the doe again. I'll freeze these with the hopes that Pilgrim will prove himself over time. And he's starting to do that, in my opinion. He hasn't been the biggest impact on my herd, but I think he will be as time rolls on. And the doe that he's out of, the General Palmetto doe, I really try to keep a little hush on the General Palmetto stuff, but that's about as close to Big Boy's Pride stuff as you can get as well. They're just phenomenal does for me, the few that I have. If anyone was at the cream and saw the doe that sold up there that was out of Pilgrim, they're just the kind that I want. And I don't think you're going to go wrong. It's just I've got to prove Pilgrim, keep doing what we're doing with him, and hoping somebody else jump in and take an opportunity to buy these embryos, and you can get a chance to make your own. Also, you got that first straw, and if you're the winning bid, you have the option to bid to get the second straw. So you'll have a chance at 4 embryos. This line to me, flesh is easier than any line I've ever owned at this point. So if that's what you're looking for, low and short, close to the groceries, this buck he'll dang sure do it. So I'll quit rambling.
You're not rambling. You're just giving facts. North Dakota was Pilgrim buck, wasn't it?
Yep.
Was it North Dakota?
No,
Yeah.
It was a Pilgrim half.
No, he's a half brother to
Okay.
Pilgrim.
All right. Cooper?
I just think that it's really neat for Curtis to give everyone an opportunity at this, to be able to raise these at your own house under your own prefix and to grow them your way. I've always said that for the most part, you can raise a better goat than you can buy because it's being raised in the environment that you want it to thrive in. So you got a really cool opportunity right here to take what Curtis is doing and just directly implant it onto your farm. I love everything I know about Pilgrim. I love everything I know about the Palmetto buck. So I think this is a heck of an opportunity, and this is going to be interesting to see where they go, for sure.
Kendall?
This is one of those Pilgrim's one of those bucks that's built. He's not your typical Kiko. He's packing the meat. He's lower to the ground, and that's what's hot right now. The Pilgrim's hot. So this is your chance to get on something that's at a young stage in its Kiko venture, I guess it is, because it's gonna. I believe they're gonna be something sought after for years to come. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see how they do.
Agree. It's I felt lucky to get the one I got out in Oklahoma when I got her. Like I said, I felt strong enough about her. I went hard at cream of the crop. Yep. It'll be exciting.
Kendall said that the kind of animal that Pilgrim is producing is what's hot right now, and I'll also say that it's what should be hot right now. It is a meat goat.
Yep.
Agreed. Going on to lot 39 now is Bug Free, TBR Bug Free. This is consigned by Patmos Island Kikos. 2 straws stored at Triple W Genetics. Bug Free is TBR is out of Browser that we talked about earlier, and Gene Guffey doe on the bottom side. Again, Titans RC, and it goes back to Titans Hammer. Cooper, you like to roll on this one?
Yep. This is a buck that I like. This is a buck that I've got in the tank. Another one of the really good Browser sons that's out there. You look at the bottom side, you've got the Titans RC buck that I talked about earlier. You've also got Hammers Mountain, which I think is a heck of a buck, especially when you think of the kind of does that he's produced. I should say I know. I'm pretty sure he tested well. Bug Free did. Maybe in that last Maryland test, looking at his birth date. Really nice buck. I've seen kids out of him from several different places, and this is one of those deals where if you'd have been thinking 4 or 5 years ago, you could have bought this semen for $20 a piece, and I promise you it's not going to sell for 20 now. So better get it before it goes even higher.
Again, this to me, what we were just talking about, this is one that was overlooked because it wasn't the hot thing. This is the right thing. Type of buck that you definitely want to get a hold of and get in your program. Kendall?
Yeah, this, like Cooper's saying, this is one of those Browser bucks that did really well on the fecal challenge in the Maryland test, and he's got Will Chapman's got a son of his doing well. That's produced well for him on buck tests. So it didn't just stop at him; it's continuing through the line. So I've got some of this in the tank too. So I believe it's something that'll be very, very good to add to the mix.
For sure. Curtis?
Well, I'll say the same thing. I think he's the right kind of buck for the type that I like. Really short, squared up. I picked quite a few of these straws up last year with the hopes of crossing them over my doe herd and not blowing. It'd be a different kind of an outcross with me, but it wasn't going to blow up the phenotype that I've been chasing and trying to produce. That Juggernaut son that Chapman has, I think, is just phenomenal looking buck, and he's proven to do well on buck test. The bottom of his pedigree, there, I think Cooper touched on it. Hammers Mountain. I bought 2 Hammers Mountain does early on from Gene Guffey, and I think we lost one. I guess the last one maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, but my Pilgrim buck, my buck out of North Dakota was out of a is a Hammers Mountain grandson. That's what I'm saying. So I just think phenomenal buck that probably was overlooked a little bit because of his half brothers. And um, I'm happy to have some of this, and I agree with Cooper. If you don't get it bought now, it's going to get more expensive. It's not going to go down because it's not available anymore like it used to be.
Right. Moving on to lot 40. Lot 40 is Four Straws. Note, Four Straws of LFK Outlaws Renegade D13. These are stored at Bull Nanza. He was the 2014 Oklahoma Buck Test ADG Grand Champion. If you go and look at the pedigree on this buck, you see that GHK A59. One of the, I think, most famous Iron Horse daughters out there that Mr. Stemmy did a lot of things with. The Jessies have the Tommy Hawk. There's several of them out there. This is another one, Outlaws Renegade, and all of them doing well. Again, Outlaw, we talked about how tested, and his offspring tested well. So, Cooper?
Yeah, as we speak today, I think you'd be hard pressed to come up with a more successful cross in terms of buck testing than Outlaw over A59. That may change as we all get a little older, but today it's hard to beat what that Outlaw over A59 did in terms of buck testing. Like it says in here, he was the top ADG buck in the 2014 test. You're going to get a lot of growth out of it. You're going to get frame out of it from the Iron Horse side, and I think you're going to get good parasite resistance and mothering ability from the Outlaw end of things. So, nice one to add to your tank.
Curtis?
John sent me some information on him and talked about as a weanling, weaned off 78 pounds. So was a .775 ADG or something like that. Won that buck test. Fecals were pretty decent on the buck test as well, and went on. I think even produced a son for the Yoders later on, maybe 2 years later after they had him. But actually, you look at that pedigree, and it's, performance test across the body, the top of that with Outlaw and Sonny Boy, all that stuff, Warsaw, Blue Sun. Just look at, so it's crossed on from generation to generation, and just proven to be a great cost. Like you said, A59s produced some good ones. So,
Kendall?
big
But
buck.
see this buck in person, he was a very large buck. So he'd be one if you're needing to add some frame, some size to your herd. He would be one to add to the mix.
All right, moving on to lot 41. Lot 41 is Mr. GHK Cherokee Fiddler. It's consigned by USA Kikos. It is stored at Bull Nanza. This is 2 straws of GHK Cherokee Fiddler. We talked about Fiddler earlier. Probably one of the best well-known Loverboy sons out there over Lighton's Lady P21. Out of Farm Pudding, and Farm Pudding was out of Far Lap 9, which was goes back to Gotex Goliath. So Cherokee Fiddler, can't go wrong there. Kendall?
This is probably like I said, I like this buck better than I did Iron Horse. When I saw him, of course, I saw Iron Horse at old age, but I've got some of him in my tank. I like the build on that buck. I love the maternal side of the buck, and everybody knows Loverboy's known to make good does. So I just figure he'll make good replacement does. His daughters will be excellent does to add to herd.
Thank you, Cooper.
Yeah, Kendall, that would be really interesting to see your bucks over Fiddler daughters. I think that could be really neat and make the kind of animal that you want. I think Fiddler was the best buck that was ever owned by Goat Hill Kikos. At least the best one that they used very much. I don't know all of them. like we've said, I think he should have been the one cast in the shadow, not Iron Horse. Extremely good does that he makes. A lot of growth, a lot of fleshing ability with them. You better get it now because the price continues to climb on the Fiddler straws, and I don't figure that that's going to change ever. So, great opportunity.
Sir Curtis. Amen. Is that
Yeah,
what
I
it is?
just agree with everything they said. I saw him along with Broadway Joe, Iron Horse. I'd take Fiddler every day. He was my kind of buck. I mean, they all three brought different facets to the game, but Fiddler was the complete buck in my opinion. You know, you go back with Moneymaker over your Lightning Genetics, and he even threw some color. So might not be good for Cooper because he likes white goats, but there's a lot of people that like colored goats. So
All right, moving on to lot 42. Lot 42 is 2 straws of BWP Keeper's Ghost. They are consigned by S&S Kikos and stored at Bonanza. Keeper's Ghost is out of Goliath Keeper and a Golden Meta Ace Doe. And that KMG lady goes back to Southwest Goliath Trump. Wayne says, own son of Ace Daughter, he has produced many top quality offsprings, 2 straws at Bonanza. Cooper.
Yeah, this is every time I see the picture of this goat, I think, dadgum, that is a good looking rascal. You look at his horns, he looks like he's probably a yearling in that picture, and look at the depth of body he's got as a little guy. Boy, it's hard to get a yearling to keep that much depth when they're going through that growth spurt that they always hit when they're a year old. The keeper son, you got Ace on the bottom. That tells me that these are going to be really good mamas, and they're going to be really good at kind of being easy keeping, easy fleshing goats. This semen is highly interesting to me. I don't know a lot about it, but like Wayne said, he's produced a lot of really good offspring. Maybe there's not a lot of semen out there on him. I'm not sure. But looking at the pedigree and looking at the animal himself, it, like I said, it's highly interesting to me.
For sure. Curtis?
I had 2 Ghost Daughters early on that I bought from Wes. I think I used them 5 or 6 years and still have some stuff on the farm that is out of them. And then sold those does to a guy up in North Carolina, just really trying to get my prefix on everything and quit using other goats. I've since changed my mind on that, but those does are still alive today. I think they're 10 and 11 years old, working for Chris Stevens up there, 562 and 563. Both good does, good backs on them. Never had to deworm them while they were here. I saw Ghost in person at Wes's place, and I think he probably is the longest buck I've ever seen in the Kiko goats that I've personally seen. He was long. I don't think that picture shows the length that he actually carried. And like Cooper said, deep bodied as well. So, probably a good one to have.
Kendall?
Talking about length, I was just looking at the pedigree on the bottom side. It goes back to Goliath Trump. I seen that buck in person, and he was long. And then that Ace buck, I don't think Wes got to use him long before they lost him. So, but everything I've seen seems like about everything I see comes back to the Ace 40 girl. So I don't know if that's the only one he's got out of her or what, but everything I've seen out of her has been very, very productive and well built.
Awesome. Daydreaming here. Let me get queued up. Lot 44. Lot 44.
43.
43, yes. Thank you. Pictures weren't matching. Knew something was wrong. Lot 43 is, come on, mouse. JDR Romeo's Top Gun. consigned by Sterling V Ranch. This is True Straws One Money, located at Bonanza or Flying Cow in Oklahoma and SEK in Kansas. So again, Vandy, he's offering a multiple opportunity here for you to transfer this. Top Gun was a top 10 buck in the 2016 Western Maryland test, the largest test that Maryland ever had, and a grandson of Lynn 8, the son of JDR Romeo that we talked about a little bit earlier. Great looking pedigree here with JDR Romeo on the top, and then you get that bling down there on the bottom with Ringo and CVK Benelli. Ringo. Kendall, why don't you talk about it?
He's off the very last Maryland test. That Benelli's out of CVK Benelli was out of the second flush I ever done back in the day. She's the litter mate, flush mate, to CVK Bushmaster. And back in the day, I used to own old Ringo. Wasn't very smart. Sold him, didn't collect him. So all this semen selling for all this money, and I wasn't smart enough to collect it. But so you got pretty good performance diet on the bottom side, and then you topped it with Romeo, and it didn't hurt this animal at all. He's a very well built buck. Like I said, he's one of the last on the last Maryland test, so he's one of those famous Maryland bucks.
Cooper?
Yeah, I've seen this buck and I really like him. Really nice set of feet on him. I like to always start at the ground when I'm talking about a herd sire. Like I said, really good set of feet. I think, from my knowledge, that some of that probably comes from Ringo. And you keep looking at the rest of the pedigree, and it just screams toughness, maternal ability, great bags. This is a good, I think Amy even has it in there that they bought him to use it as an outcross, and I think this can be an outcross for a whole lot of farms across the country. So I would jump on this one for sure. This is a nice buck.
Thanks, sir. Curse.
Echo the same thing again. I mean, you look at Lynn 8 and Ringo in those pedigrees, and Kendall talked about the Boulder Hills doe or the flush down there that produced Bushmaster. Bushmaster's done pretty well in buck testing itself through the years. Maybe not be something up just real close that people are wanting, but I bet it'll improve a lot of herds, and like Cooper said, be a good outcross to improve some feed and other maternals, things that you might need. So hard to beat Jared's stuff on buck testing. He's done it for a long time and done well.
Correct. Lot 44 now. Lot 44 is consigned by Danny Vaughn. This is GFI Terminators 3. They are stored at Bonanza. This is a son of Terminator 2 over a Zorro 2 daughter. Terminator 2, of course, I think most people know. If you don't, he wasn't never collected. Nancy gave me the story. I shared that on one of the other streams that we did. So you can't get Terminator 2. It's probably about as close as you're going to get. Besides a few others, TV108, there's not many. But, Terminator 2 is known for parasite resistance. And the McGills have used Terminator 3. This is the first time I know of any Terminator 3 being let out. They may publicly, there may have been some other sales I didn't know about, but definitely interesting opportunity here. You got that CNB Girl 010 and Michael Weeby's listening. I think that is the mother to Rolling Meadows. Is that right?
I think Speckles, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's where Lynn 8 gets his spots, is through her.
Speckles.
And Speckles.
Cooper?
I've been told anytime you see that girl's name in the pedigree, you better look it over good because she was a good one.
Yep. Cooper, you got anything?
If you're wanting to put some parasite resistance into a doe, you can dang sure do it here. And I didn't know anything about the CNB doe, but it sounds like she was a good one. So you can never go wrong with adding more maternals as well. And those speckled up ears and speckled nose that you see on this buck, you probably expect to get some of that out of your kids too, because man, just about any time I see a goat with speckled up ears, you can just about bet you're going to go back to Terminator 2 on it.
Kendall, done rung in.
Yeah, this buck's got my attention. Just like you said, got CBN 10 girl. That was one of Craig's partnership herds. C is in Craig, and the B was, I think his name was Byron. But yeah, like Cooper was saying, should be strong maternals and with a big splash of parasite resistance in this mix.
For sure. Curtis. Say
Once again, that girl 10, that's the Grand Dame de Speckles, is who that is. But I know from talking with Ron, if they've ever thought at any time maybe they needed a little more parasite resistance, this is where they're going to Terminator 3. They really like it. So, like I said, you're not going to get Terminator 2, so this or TV 108, and I personally think 3's better.
They are in phones. They got to be in goats. Gen 3, Gen 4. It's got to get better every time. Going on to lot 45. Lot 45 is CLP Raging River generator 235, consigned by Raging River Kiko Farm. Storage location. Oh, I'm sorry. This I haven't said it yet. Storage locations multi-gen. This is one straw only of Raging River generator 235. Again, this is that generator buck that we talked about earlier, one of the originals. Dr. Ann's done a lot with that, and a lot of people have over Sports Cat daughter. Kendall?
This is a flush mate to that other
Buck.
generator.
243 buck.
But, yeah. So, although I can't really add more than what I said on that one, but I mean, this is one of those good crosses of generator over the Sports Cat. So, I don't ever remember seeing a picture of this buck. So I don't know if how close they were built to the same or not.
Cooper?
If this buck was built anything like the 243 buck, then it's definitely semen that I would want to use.
Curtis?
Say the same thing. Never seen a picture of him. You think sometimes when people get rid of a buck, Chris kept 235, let 243 go. He actually was a high selling bucket. I think the spotlight sale one year 243 was, but 235, I would guess if Chris kept him, he thought was a better buck. So, but I've never seen him.
If the other flush mate gets a little too high now, your range, there's another opportunity to get that put in your herd. Moving on to lot 46. Lot 46 is CPK Kit Carson. This is consigned by the Hancock Kiko Farm. Again, 2 straws of Kit Carson, stored at Bullnanza. Kit Carson is a Hemp's Golden Boy son over HKF Caroline, and hopefully Curtis will help us on that. That's a Heritage over Harriet cross. Seen Caroline in there and some really great does. Curtis, why don't you start us off?
Yeah. This goes back to that original cross of Hemp's Golden Boy over Heritage Daughters. So big, full brother to Little Joe and that Poppin' Vindicator buck. I don't know if he's in the cell. I think he's in the cell. So anyway, they're full brothers. But I've actually got 3 Kit Carson daughters here that I AI'd with back in 2019, I think. They've been solid does for me. Actually put a son up in North Dakota this year, and I think he ended up somewhere in the middle of the pack. I don't know, 19th, 20th up there. He was my number 3 weaning buck. I really thought he'd do a little better up there than he did, but some of the other bucks kind of took off and left him. But they've done a good job. They're, like I said, they're 2019 models, still here, still using them. So I've made a pretty hard cut this year, and all 3 of them stayed. So they've done their job here. A lot of meat, a lot of muscle, and good maternals. I have no complaints on them.
Cooper?
I don't have much to add other than I would, if you put this in a doe, I would just expect it to come out just like you would think something Golden Boy over Gold Mines Heritage would, which is just a solid meat goat. I don't think you can go wrong here, really.
Kendall?
Yeah, this is one of those legendary crosses, I believe, and you'll get a chance to use it up close and get your herd prefix on it. I mean, it's stood the test of time through the years, so should be able to bid with confidence.
Agree. Next up. Oh, I got to make Michael Weeby was listening in. He corrected me. Dottie was Mr. Speckles Dam, and 10 was Spot. So there is a difference there. Yeah, Grand Dam. Yeah. So going into lot 47, we have Mr. MGR Outlaw.
Oh, Lord,
turn. Sorry. MRG Outlaw. Sonny Boy Sun over Sapphire. This is consigned by USA Kikos. Storage location is Bonanza. Again, legendary test buck. Performance proven 100 times over. Like no other producer. Take him to your best does and improve every aspect of your program is what Mr. Yeti says. 2 straws stored at Bonanza. Cooper.
Well, Yeti's first sentence there says the buck test legend. It's hard to argue with that, with what he did in the Oklahoma test. Probably the most interesting piece of this is the Sapphire doe, being an imprint daughter, and then it goes back to the Nelly doe, which is out of Heritage. I think that's where, I don't know, it's hard to say where the great maternals come out of this. I guess it's all over, but you're going to get a good maternally oriented goat here that you're probably not going to have any parasite issues out of either. The outlaw stuff continues to be popular, so might as well put it in your dough.
Curtis.
Just balance. I think I don't think there's many holes in him. I think he's going to bring to the table what all of us could use and want, and just not going to hurt us anywhere. And like I said, a legend in the buck test world, so hard to complain about what he's done.
True. Kendall.
Yeah, not much I can add. He's stood the test of time in the Oklahoma test, so buy that Iron Horse semen and use it, and then a couple years later throw you some Outlaw in it, and then there you go. It seems like it works the best. It seems like Outlaw works the best over some good framey does. So.
I didn't chime in there, but when I was looking and getting started, I was looking at Nelly One, and I got a Nelly One daughter, and she's getting age on her. She's still producing. She's doing good. Great back, great feet, just hands off. That's what I can add there is in that cross. So moving on to lot 48. Lot 48 is Sky Tricked Out Twice. Consigned by S&S Kikos, stored at Bonanza. This is 3 straws. 3 straws of Sky High Trickster. He's a Blue Sun Sun over Tasman Temptress, which we talked about earlier. Cooper?
I don't know a lot about Tricked Out Twice. You got the Blue Sun there on top, which is an obvious positive. The Temptress doe, I know, was a super good goat for Sky. Talk about another super good goat that's real close to Temptress is the Tasman Toya doe that you see on the bottom side. And when I first got in, I had a lot of the old timers, I'll call them, that told me about how nice of a buck the Black Paradox buck was. Produced really, really solid does that were extremely tough and good mamas. And then you got Lighten there on the bottom side. Looks like the buck is spotted up some, so I don't see any holes pedigree wise. I don't see any holes in what I can see of the buck. So it's hard pressed to use a buck these days that has the Sky prefix. So,
Kendall? Kendall?
I don't know a whole lot about him. Just what Curtis just told me. Besides looking at the pedigree, I mean, I don't think you can beat the pedigree.
Tell
So
us a little something, Curtis.
about the pedigree.
Yeah, I mean, you look
Cur-
at, of course, Trickster, Blue Sun on top, and like Cooper talked about, the Paradox buck was supposed to be just a special buck. Never did see him. I have seen Trickster. Um, and I know where he died at. Sky has told me if Sky wouldn't have got out of goats when he did, that was the buck that he was going to use. That would have been his herd sire. But instead, he took him down to Mike Kirschbacher's, who we all know buys a lot of goats and brings goats in, dumps them off in his pens, may hold them 3 or 4 days, 5 days a week before he goes to market with them. But that Tricked Out Twice buck was housed with all those bucks and animals that came through the sale barns, and that joker still lived down there with nothing. So he was one tough son of a gun. And he showed that I drove down to Mike's Pens just to look at him when I actually bought some of the semen from Sky, and his head was high every time. He was very feral, which tells me toughness, which is, maybe some don't like that. I want them tough. I mean, but uh, very deep bodied, good feet on him. He just hasn't been tried, and I think more people ought to try it and see what it's going to do. The pedigree is just about second to none when you look at it. There's a lot of good goats in that pedigree. So
Awesome. Lot 49.
you look at the other side of me, he looks totally different.
Yeah.
He's black with brown, not spots. So
All right. Thank you. Lot 49. Lot 49 is Got Woody G. That is out of LFK Rambling Blue F05 and a Apache Samson doe and Iron Horse to round that out. This is consigned by Split Hoof Ranch. The location is stored in Bonanza. Curtis has got a great write up, but I'll just let him tell you firsthand about Got Woody G. You got some experience there?
he's impacted my herd more than any buck on our place. It's not to downplay some of the other ones, Willie, Boaz, some of the other ones, but as a whole, he's impacted my herd. He produced a buck test winner for me, produced the number 2 buck for 2 Seed Kikos and Rachel and Brett Coggins, who bought him for me. Also the number 4 consigner this year. So he continues to keep doing his thing. Literally no maintenance. I have never, when I had him, never dewormed him, never trimmed his feet. I did drench him one time with ammonia chloride right after he come home for the buck test, and I bought him from JD, called JD out. We thought he might have had urinary calculi. We learned through the years that he just walks that way, and it's become known as the Woody Shuffle. kind of hunches his back up, walks sideways, and you think maybe he's got urinary calculi, but just a phenomenal buck. I think he's one of those bucks that we'll look up someday, and he's going to be very valuable to somebody, and he's going to live a long time. He's just, I mean, just zero maintenance. Um, I crossed him over my Boaz daughters and made some of the best does I've had. So um, I can't say enough good things about him. I could talk all night, but I'll stop right there.
Thank you, sir. Cooper.
Yeah, I think Woody, like Curtis said, I think Woody's one of those bucks that, 10 or 15 years, we might be talking about Woody like we're talking about Fiddler today. In my mind, that's not out of the realm of possibility. I've got Woody G. Seaman. I am happy that I got it before it sells for what it's going to sell for with these. He's a great buck, and I'm really happy that the Coggins family has him now, doing really good things for them down in Texas. No holes in this buck at all. And even though I do like a white goat, a dappled goat doesn't suck either. So,
Thank you. Kendall.
I would like to add that the son out of Justified, the son out of Woody, produced the number 2 buck up there at North Dakota this year as well. So, just able to pass it on. Just a fabulous buck. I just don't know what else to say. And this will be the last 2 straws that I sell in the near future. And I don't know what Rachel's going to do. I think she's going to hold on to them. Thinking just like I am, she's going to come back to this someday. And I know that's my plans. Woody will have a future back here on our farm.
Kendall, want to add anything?
I mean, when you can take a buck and one farm uses it and produces a test winner, they sell the buck and it goes to a whole different farm, whole different area, whole different management style, and they use the buck, travel from Texas all the way to West Virginia and test the offspring of the buck, and they finish second place out of 200 or some goats. Says a lot for the herd sire, I think.
For sure. Moving on to lot 50. Lot 50 is consigned by Hancock Kiko Farm. Listen up, this is 10 straws of SDR El Diablo bear stored at Bonanza, out of Onyx Bear, and a Blue Sun over Sports Cat. Kendall, start us.
He's a looker. I like the way I don't know a whole lot about this buck. Just looked at his pedigree a while back, and I remember Nanook from years ago, and everybody thought that he was probably one of the best bucks that Dick Rutherford raised, and he was built more like I like goats, shorter, thicker, stockier build, and this Dick was really good about stacking pedigrees with exceptional sires, and I believe this will be a good opportunity for somebody. Hopefully it's me, but I don't know if Dan will let me buy it. But I really think this is. I know Nanook was never collected, so, and I don't know very many Nanook sons out there because they lost him young.
Curtis.
Blue Sun over Sports Cat. He's double red Sports Cat. I'm interested in this stuff myself. The only thing that throws me out is Blue Sun. It's not because I don't like Blue Sun, but I've used Woody so much that I've really been trying to move away from Blue Sun a little bit. But this is going to be a hard one for me not bid on. I've never seen Nanook myself, but I kept hearing, and I've heard it the whole time I've been in it, how great of a buck he was. So maybe my chance to try. If not, somebody else can try. So, but he looks the part to me. So.
Cooper.
Yeah. Curtis, you said you're trying to move away a little bit from Blue Sun, but the only reason you're doing that is so that you can come back to it.
Yeah.
The
I'm not
the
saying
Blue
that.
Sun over here is highly intriguing. And from what the other two gentlemen have said about Nanook, that just adds to the intrigue. So, pretty neat chance here. And again, it's 10 straws. So man, if you really like it, then you got a lot more opportunities to continue to add that type of animal to your herd.
For sure. Lot 51. Lot 51 is MGR Titans Hammer, consigned by Weber Farms. This is one straw only, stored at Bonanza. Titans Hammer was the record holder at Fort Valley Buck Test. When you come to Hammer, you can't beat it. I think it was said here. A great opportunity. Very, very limited quantity out there. You're going to have to get after it to get this one. Kendall, you got a lot of Hammer stuff.
Anybody that knows me knows how I feel about Hammer.
Yeah.
Only thing I like better than Hammer is his sons. So that's only because I got Hammer sons. So.
Now there's only one way to make a son.
That's right. I mean, he's. I believe he's the only buck out there that could overshadow any other tested buck. As far as he's been tested himself. His sire was tested, and then he's had multiple sons test, and then it just continues on down the line. So I believe he is the ultimate tested buck.
Cooper?
Yeah, I don't have a lot more to add. I mean, what wouldn't a person want out of this? There's so many offspring out of him that have excelled across the entire country. So I'm not, if you're already planning on bidding on this, I'm not going to talk you into it. So I'm going to hush.
Curtis?
I mean, saying they can't really add a lot. I mean, everything he brings to the table has been proven over and over again. I will tell one little story. I used to not really understand it because Guy used to tell me, or has told me multiple times, the farther you get away from Titans Hammer, the better you're going to like him. And I thought it was just crazy. And I did. I just stayed away from it because I thought, well, if you don't like it, why use it? So anyway, I eventually ventured into a partnership and used a Hammer son. And he isn't the prettiest thing to look at, but I can't argue with what his daughters look like. So here's your chance to get something. We all know what Hammer brings to the table. It won't be a cheap date to get it, but it'll be worth it. If you can make it work, it will pay itself back in more ways than one. So get often's all I can tell you.
Yep. Hey, one thing here I just wanted to ring in on is this Far Lap 9 doe. I kind of focus in on go back in on does. And if you look at that doe, I mean, they bred her 2 or 3 different ways, and everything out of her was great. I mean, and so and if you look down here, it's right back on the bottom side. She produced both Victoria's Farm Pudding and Lightning's Lady N08, which being twice in that pedigree, and like they said, be confident. Going on to Lot 52. Lot 52 is HKF Woody's Fauci by Hancock Kiko Farm. This is 2 straws stored at Bonanza. This is a Woody G son over a special dark doe, Boaz. Curtis, let's hear it.
I've never seen the buck. I let John use Woody one year, and this is a product of it. John actually sold him to a commercial breeder. And then after they saw the kids out of it, they decided they needed to buy him back. So they bought him back. They've never trimmed his feet, never any deworming or anything like that. You're looking at pedigree. I said it's Woody over Boaz. Um, so Special Dark, Gold Mines Heritage, Little Joe. There's some big hitters in that for Hancock Farm in that pedigree. Um, I personally think Fauci, from pictures I've seen, he's probably a bigger buck than Woody is. Which doesn't surprise me. I've seen it happen numerous times, but I don't think you'll go wrong. It'd be an opportunity to get him, get something close to Woody if you're not willing to spend what some folks are going to hopefully pay to get Woody. But Fauci's a nice buck, and as you can see, he throws some color. So
Cooper.
I think this is a special opportunity. If you just throw the paper out the window and just look at the animal, and not his spots, just look at the way that buck is built. I think that's the type of animal we all ought to be trying to produce. And then you throw the papers back in and it gets better. And like I said, who doesn't like a pretty little spotted kid? I know the people sitting beside the sale rings do. That's for sure. The thickness east to west that you get out of the goats on that bottom side, mixed with all the great stuff with Woody G, is, I don't know, that's a heck of a good looking buck. And an unfortunate name, named after somebody that, well, we'll leave it at
you
that.
have to
Don't
talk
wrong
to
with
John
that,
about that, man.
That's the only thing I see wrong with that buck.
COVID, so.
Kendall, you got anything?
Yeah, I really like that, but just the way he is in that picture, he's got my attention. Those spots, if you get enough spots running together, it's kind of like zebra stripes, Cooper. They'll confuse predators, so you can't knock them spots too much.
Okay, fair enough.
But that buck is, like I said, he's the only thing wrong with that buck is he's got a weird name. Other than that, I don't think there's any. I wouldn't mind having him in the tank because that's a thick son of a gun there. I like him.
That cross Woody over Boaz stuff has been my most consistent, probably best cross on my farm to this point. So, really proud of what they've done.
Moving on. Lot 53.
This is the
Yeah.
one.
This is the one. Sky S408 Sports Cat. A straw. Consigned by Raging River Kiko Farm, stored in personal tank. It's a mic drop here. Need to say no more. One of the most sought after genetics in the Kiko industry. One straw. Chris is watching. He wanted to ring in. Says Sports Cat was parasite resistant on my farm. I have a 12-year-old daughter in the field tonight. So longevity is there with it. So Kendall, you're close to it. Let's hear it.
Man, I don't think you can. This is the unicorn, the Kiko world, in my opinion. This is what I've been wanting to get a hold of it for a while and get it in some Chinook daughters and see what I can make with it. Chris always, or Lee, I call him Lee. Lee always told me you can really tell the difference in a sports cat son or daughter whenever they was walking away from you, because they just stood out from the back end. They was thick. Back when he had sports cat, it wasn't hard to get a thick chest in a Kiko, but it was hard to get them to stay thick from the chest all the way to the rear end. And he always said that you could really tell a sports cat kid when it was walking away from you. So this is opportunity to. It's just hard to describe what kind of opportunities here. This is a buck that I wanted when I first got into Kikos. He come about, and he was just built different back then, and he's special. He's right up there with Hammer and all that in my eyes. Hammer and Pango.
Tasman Temptress. There it is. We talked about her a little bit earlier. Cooper, you got anything?
Yeah, I am highly. I'm looking forward to what happens with this. With all the new technology and the updated repro stuff, this is going to be, like Kendall said, this is a special opportunity. And I
First time offer.
appreciate, yeah, probably the only time offer. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun just to see what it brings, but it's going to be really fun to see if whoever buys it, if they go ahead and use it and get kids on the ground, that's going to be something. So this is a big deal in the Kiko world. So personally, I appreciate Chris/Lee for putting this out there. It's just going to be fun. So let the game begin.
I mean, it's been 12 years since any kids out of Sports Cats hit the ground.
Yep, Curtis.
It'll be interesting.
This is the $1 to me has all from day one that I've got in Kiko's that I have tried to build something to look like. He is my kind of buck, and I've said it from the day that I got in. Started chasing that. I thought the Hancocks was the closest thing to get to it because you could never get Sports Cat. I think it's a very, very special opportunity, and it may not come around again anytime soon. But I'd sure love to be the guy to have it, but I don't know that I can do that. My pockets probably aren't that deep. But man, it's an opportunity. To me, he's the standard to me that I've always tried to achieve and reach. That picture right there just says it all to me. Thick front to back, good bone structure. I don't know, he's special. I don't know any other way to put it. So I'm gonna keep reaching for that. That's what I'm gonna try to produce and try to make him look like that. May not be everybody's, but he's mine. So
Not
good
only
luck
look
to
like
everyone.
that, but not only look like that, but produce like that.
Right.
Mhm.
Took a lot of talking, I think.
Longevity. JD's had several does that was lived a long time too. So.
No, it's going to be very interesting, and to Cooper's point, and I talked about it a little earlier in this, we're getting really in the short roads here and been a long time, but with the reproductive stuff that is happening right now, I've tested myself, seeing good results, a lot of opportunity here for a very special straw. Moving on to lot 54 is KHP Papa Vindicator that we talked about a little bit earlier. That is Golden Boy over the Caroline Doe that we talked about. This is from Hancock's Farm. It is 2 straws stored at Bonanza. We talked a little bit about this same cross earlier. Curtis, anything else just want to add?
Yeah, same thing. I think Kendall said one of those crosses. It worked every time, and you know what you're going to get. It doesn't matter. You're going to get the depth of body and width and muscle front to back. Just a very solid cross. I wouldn't be afraid to use it at all.
All righty. Anybody else?
No.
Right.
Okay.
Just that picture. He's older in that picture, so don't let that scare you away. He's
Mhm.
in that
Can
picture.
tell.
He's starting to
Yeah.
lose his muscle mass by then.
I do have some Papa Vindicator in the tank, and I do plan on pulling it out because of the Golden Boy in Caroline. So, good chance here. Going on to lot 55. We have Pirate King, consigned by S&S Kiko's, stored at Bonanza. This is 2 straws. His sires from a popular cross of Sunny Boy over Gloria that Kendall talked about a little bit earlier in the show. Great looking pedigree here with Captain Jack and Nick and Gloria and Tay 007 that Kendall brought out earlier, and Tasman's Oro rounding out the bottom. Anybody want to chime in on this, Cooper?
Oh, yeah, I like this buck a lot. I got several daughters, several granddaughters. All of them are easy fleshers, something that I'm chasing. It's also a good outcross type of stuff for me. I've got, I think, a granddaughter of Pirate King that I retained a potential herd sire out of. And one of the big reasons is because of the Pirate King on the bottom side. I like what it has brought to the table to me, and I'd like to be able to spread it out across the rest of my table. This is a good buck, and I can imagine it's a good outcross if you need to move away from what you're currently doing genetically. I don't think you're going to lose anything by using this buck. He's a nice one.
All right, moving on. Lot 56. Lot 56 is GHK Who's Your Daddy, an Iron Horse son by that Skybird Salsa P6 that Kendall talked about earlier, who's out of Tasman Toy over Lover Boy on top side. This is consigned by USA Kikos. It is 2 straws, stored at Bonanza. Go, Kendall.
Yeah, I've got some of this in my tank. I chose it for the doe side more than anything. I mean, Iron Horse didn't hurt it none, but when I'm selecting for genetics to bring into my herd, I'm usually looking at the doe side more than the buck side. That I just think that doe side, everything I've seen out of her has been packing the meat. So, and this buck is no exception. I saw him sell at the cream. He's high selling buckling at the cream, and he was packing the meat, and he turned into a horse. He is a big buck.
Cooper?
Huge. Huge buck. So if you need some frame and you need a good mama on the bottom side of that frame, here you go.
Curtis?
Like I said, I saw this buck in person. He's huge. I think that picture was probably taken in James's trailer the day he brought him back from wherever he came from. Yeti bought him. I think it's where he ended up there. But just a monster of a big buck. And like I said, that doe, everybody talks about that doe. She's been a good one. So everybody knows Iron Horse. So I think you know what you're getting.
Yep. Moving on to lot 57. Lot 57 is a talker. This is 1 straw of AKR Lightens Mountain, consigned by Danny Vaughn. This is 1 straw.
Andy should buy this for me for Christmas.
Well, I can, yeah. When talking to Danny,
You're good enough.
Yeah.
I don't know, who he is. This is a rare straw. Asking Danny to put in something deep out of his tank. When he told me about this straw, I'll just be honest with you, I chased it down. I chased it down to where PJ got it from. Went to that person that PJ bought it off of, and then that person got it off of a long time ago AKGA president Ken. What was his name? Kendall? Ken something. I think it was Ken. But anyway, so him and Sky, and Curtis may be able to ring in on this. Him and Sky were partners on this buck. If you look at the pedigree, I mentioned Farlarp 9 because I've been studying her. This buck is a brother to Hammer's mother. Danny, to his knowledge, says this is the only straw that he knows in existence. I can't find any more. Going down that rabbit hole and trying to find more. PJ said, it was stored with good straws that he had used. The man that PJ bought it off of said he wouldn't be afraid to use it. a real rare opportunity here. I'll let Kendall talk a little bit about it, and we'll go through.
Lightning was probably the first he was the first Kiko buck I seen when I got into business and got me hooked. So this bloodline is one of my favorite bloodlines. I mean, it's where Hammer comes from and Chinook comes from, all that line. So that Far Lap doe lived to a really old age. I think she was that AKR is. I think her name was Melissa Reese. That was Rubel's girlfriend at that time, and then they got married. But anyway, so this is more or less. I mean, that's kind of where how Lightning got used over these does. But so they used that doe for a while, and she ended up at John Smith's, I think, is where she was at. He called her Granny, but she lived a really old age and produced some really good stuff. And she was a flush doe, so there was like Far Lap 9 and Far Lap 8 and 7 and all that. There's several of them. But yeah, this is another one. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this one sells, because it's going to be, there's not much of it. This might be the only one. So if you look up in the pedigree search on it, there's not a whole lot of stuff registered out of that buck. I believe Duff Sadness was the one that was partnerships with him on it. I believe this buck was in Arizona when they found him, and I think he was older when they got him. There's not a whole lot I can add, far as I don't know how he is built. I'm assuming if he was built like the doe, he was short and stocky. If he was built like the sire, he was still stocky, but he had a little bit more leg on him. So I don't think you'll go wrong with it. If, who knows how, nobody knows the quality of it, but, if it was stored properly, it should be good. So it's exciting to me as the sports cat. So that tells you what I think of it.
Cooper, anything?
Yeah, I'll just read the first word in the last sentence of the write-up there. Rare, and what an opportunity. That's all I got.
Curtis?
Talked to Sky. He said it didn't ring a bell to Sky other than he knew Duff had partnered with him. It wasn't something that Sky done. So he really didn't give me much information. But, when you look at that reading, rare. Plain and simple rare. So I would say if you make it work, it's going to be a home run.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it piqued my interest. It excited me. I started digging. Definitely excited about it. Excited to see what it can do. That's the important thing for me is with the new repro work, what it potentially can do. Even if it's not the hottest straw out there. All right, moving on to lot 58. Lot 58 is a familiar one. Push the right button. This is
Lynn 8.
Lynn 8. We just saw Lynn 8 buck sale at the cream of the crop. Wow, boy. It's consigned by Hubbard Hill Kikos. One straw stored at Bonanza. He's got a lot of notables. You can read it and write up. Romeo, Ryback, Maryland's Ultimate Warrior, CBK 888, H Jazzy, JDR Stuckey, and the Webb's 8 Moonshine. Kendall, wrap us up here.
That's back when I bought this buck in 2008, that's what we called him, was 888, because his AKG pedigree number had 3 8s in it, so we called him 888. But he was collected at 9 months old. I got 120 straws out of him, and then they thawed out a few to check their motility and all that. I think they ended up with like 117 straws. That was the only time he was ever collected. So all this semen come from a 9-month-old buck. Um, one of those bucks I let get away from me, just kind of like I did the Ringo and all that. But he's a good one. He did good for me. I let Jared use him. He did a good job for Jared. We both tested a lot of grandsons. I let him on test, and he kind of he throws those deep bodied does, good chest on them, carrying the meat, easy fleshing, and sometimes you get a little color. I bred him to a bunch of does, and all I got white kids. I let Jared use him. He got all these wild colored things. But a few years later, I started getting, a few generations later, I started getting the color. But the color doesn't matter unless you're selling to Dana. The meat's what matters to me.
Goes your Christmas present.
She's throwing stuff at me.
Cooper?
But yeah, he's just a special buck.
Cooper,
Yeah, you look at him, he's line bred keeper. Genetically, that's 50% keeper. Like a keeper son is 50% keeper. So something else I just saw on there, you look in maternal granddam, you got that CNB girl 010 again that we talked about quite a bit earlier.
Where them spots
I think
come
it's
from.
I think that's where the
Pretty
color
special
comes from.
Yeah. Pretty special buck here.
Curtis?
Yeah.
Anything?
I don't have nothing else to add. I think Kendall covered it all. I mean, it's pretty well documented what he's done through the years. So.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it. We've had a lot of Facebook comments, a lot of followers. I just want to thank you guys for doing this. Those that are listening and watching, if you're still here, you're doing your homework. You can't do any better homework with the three guys on the screen right now. They have taken almost 3 hours and 30 minutes to help you do your selections, build your herd. They'll answer any question, I'm sure, after the fact if you've got a question or something that you want to ask. So if you see them, thank them for putting that time into the industry. Again, I'd just like to personally thank all three of you. I couldn't do it. You guys' knowledge is great. It's going to be an exciting sale. We had some great sponsors to help put it on. I do want to say one thing as going through this. I'm going to reach out to the consigners because we have so many multi-straw packages. I'm going to ask the consigners if they want to drop that. We're so used to that $200 minimum bid. I think on those multi-straw packages we may tweak that a little bit if the consigners agree to allow people to bid, get those straws moved up. I mean, when you're looking at 15 straws that start at $200. I think we may move down a little bit. Well, no, correction and edit this. It's one money, so we'll leave it where it is. 200 start every lot. I'm sorry if I confused anybody. Did I confuse you, Cooper? I did. Kendall said yes. Well, there's always tomorrow.
It's about 3 hours past my bedtime, so I'm
exactly.
I'm
and I haven't had supper yet. My sugar's low. Hey, I love you guys. Take care. I'm stopping the stream.
All right, we'll see.
See you. All right, bye.